And we are back. Welcome, everybody, to Season 3 of Think Different Theory. I am so excited. Oh my gosh. We have so much planned this season. In fact, we have so much planned today. We have an interview that I'm about to cut over to here in a minute after I do this introduction. We're going to talk about everything from abortion to America to social issues to killing Clickfunnels, entrepreneurship, business, and money. We literally cover it all with this guy. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic interview. But before I get into that, guys, welcome back to Season 3 of Think Different Theory. I am so excited. We've been on for almost 2 months. We've been off. There's a whole backstory on that, but I'm so excited. All right, first things first. Listen, depending upon where you're listening to this, if you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the love button, or the thumbs up, the like button, turn on those notifications. Guys, we got to spread the message of topics that matter to the world. So make sure to subscribe. The more likes, the more comments we get on Facebook and on YouTube, the more people are going to see this. And if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, or any other audio places, make sure to subscribe, leave a rating and review. If you've ever found value in this content, or if later on you find value and you haven't yet, make sure to go and do that. Just helps us get the message out there, and it's free. I'm not going to sell you anything here. We're not here to sell you anything. I don't have a sponsor. I'm not trying to sell you anything. The only thing I do ask for is for the comment down below. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Like literally comment the city, the state, what you're most looking forward to Season 3. And we're going to dive right into it here. I read all your guys' comments. Seriously, I read them on YouTube. I read them on Facebook. I go back and look at every single review on iTunes, Spotify. Well, on iTunes, I don't know about Spotify. I don't have it, but I appreciate you guys. Okay, guys, Season 3 is big. Here's the deal. All right, really quick, we got to go through some house stuff and then we're going to dive right in. The podcast schedule has been updated. Guys, my life has changed a lot. We got the election coming up. I honestly thought about holding up a Trump flag, getting like a Trump hoodie, holding up a Trump flag behind me to kick this one off. It would have been freaking hilarious. But we didn't go there. Believe me, we're going to go there eventually. But for now, we're going to hold off on that. But my life has changed. We have a busy schedule. We're moving interviews, or moving over to long form interviews. So the schedule moving forward is we're going to have episodes Mondays and Thursdays. So this week we'll have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We are going to do 3 episodes this week just because it's kickoff week. But then we're going to move to, starting next week, Monday and Thursdays. Mondays and Thursdays, we will drop an interview twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. Typically they're going to be like longer form, like 1 to 2 hour or more long interviews. We have interviews scheduled with, Ryan Moran, Russell Brunson, J.R. Revis, Liz Germain, Cody Jefferson. We have some amazing people lined up. We've reached out to people like Andrew Yang and his campaign, Tulsi Gabbard and her campaign. We've reached out to both Republicans and Democrats on both sides of the aisle to try to get them on, senators, congressmen, even local people, entrepreneurs across the board. We are focused on Season 3 as the season where we talk about topics that matter. That is where we're taking this. All right, now I want to give you a little bit of a backstory with this, guys, because Season 3 is fundamentally different than any of the other seasons on there. Some of you guys may be listening to this for the very first time. Maybe this is your first episode, and if you are, welcome. Like I said, comment below, leave a review. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear this. Guys, here's the deal, all right? I started this podcast, and I'm just going to give you a quick backstory before we get into the interview, and then I promise we're going to cut right over to that. But I started this podcast in 2019, the beginning of 2019, January, and we kicked this off. And the purpose of this podcast was for basically me to document my journey to success in life. That is how I kicked it off. It was me thinking different. We are the free thinkers. Where are my free thinkers at? Anyway, I started by documenting my journey. I had gone through the highest point in my life and then the lowest point in my life up until that point, and really started like shifting my mindset around things. And I thought, if I can ask life's biggest questions, if I can ask better questions, if I can get better answers, I'm going to be able to be successful. This is my journey of that. And very quickly, that took off. People started listening to it, but 2 months into the podcast in Season 1, I get a phone call, and I'm just going to kind of get through this here quickly, but I get a phone call. It was a Sunday night. I was getting ready to go out to dinner with my now fiance, girlfriend at the time, and it was my mom, and I have a great relationship with my mom, and so I picked it up thinking I'm just going to tell her, hey, we're going out to dinner, and I'll call you back later. And I picked up, and there was this blood-curdling scream on the other end of the phone with my mom screaming and yelling, "He's dead. He's dead. Kyle is dead. Your brother is dead. His helicopter crashed. Kyle's dead." And I fell to the floor. I dropped the phone. From that moment on, my life changed. My identity broke. My brother had tragically died. He was over in Kenya visiting some people over there, and the helicopter that he was on crashed, killing everybody on board. He left behind a 5-year-old son, a wife, who was pregnant at the time as well. And that changed my life. And so I didn't give up on the podcast, though. I actually documented my entire journey of that year on the podcast. We went through and I ended up selling my business. I ended up traveling the world to find perspective. I studied God and religion. I studied different philosophies. I traveled all over with Leah, my now fiance, and we ended up getting some really, really good perspective. And I documented my journey that entire time. And then last year, in 2020, or beginning of this year, when season 2 kicked off, I was like, all right, if season 1 of the podcast was defined, or the year of 2019 was defined as searching, then I'm gonna change that. Now we're actually gonna go and take action. And so we started off the podcast once again interviewing people along the way. Kicked off season 2, had some amazing interviews, and then coronavirus hit, pandemic. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I've grown and managed over 6 million followers on social media. I've made millions of dollars for myself and clients. And so we kind of shifted season 2 for about a half, probably half of season 2 is episodes that support business owners and support entrepreneurs that were trying to get through the pandemic. We really shifted our focus there, how to make money, how to build businesses, how to do systems, the mindset, everything like that. And 2020, guys, has been the best year of my life. It has been defined by, if 2019 was defined by searching because my brother died and my whole identity shifted and I had to figure out who I was. 2020, I found myself. 2020, I became certain of who I was. I hired a coach. And 2020 has been defined by the word growth. It has been the best year of my life, even through the midst of the pandemic. My business has grown rapidly. We've signed clients. We've scaled the podcast. And we are here to bring the message of thinking different to the world. And then I think it was July or August of, end of July, I believe. End of July, early August of this year. I was doing some research. I was getting a little bit more into politics and the political things, and I started going down the rabbit hole of sex trafficking and human trafficking, and went down a very, very, very dark hole, a very, very evil place of the internet. And many of you probably found me through this video. I went live one night and I lost it. I broke. I became incredibly emotional. I cried. I was like, what is going on? There's evil in the world. There are children being raped and being trafficked. We need to do something about this. And of course, that video went viral. It helped raise tens of thousands of dollars for Operation Underground Railroad. It got over 1 million views on that video. And that really set the precedence moving forward of me getting into more of these social issues and being more vocal about standing up for what we believe in. And I believe that one of the most important social issues, if not the most important social issue in the entire world, is to stand up for human injustice, particularly human trafficking, and very specifically child sex trafficking. And I've been very, very vocal about that, as well as my political views. And here we are. And so the purpose of season 3 now going into this is, guys, I feel like up until this point for season 1 and season 2, I did searching and I asked life's biggest questions, and I found myself. I was lost and then I found myself. And then from there, in season 2, I shared my views. I shared how I was able to build a successful business. I shared how I was able to be successful, how I changed my mindset, what my coach taught me, and all these different things. And now that I've done it for myself, now I want to bring this message of thinking different and how to be a free thinker to the world. And so the purpose of Think Different Theory season 3 is to actually go interview super smart people, to talk about controversial topics, things like religion and God and politics and social issues and mindset and money and emotional health and emotional intelligence and health in general and medicine, and start to create a curriculum. My goal is to reform education. I don't want to, and we're going to get more into this on the podcast, but I don't want to take on education by taking on education. I actually literally want to come up with a better solution, and I want to literally provide people with a better way to think. And this is a 40-year goal of mine, 40, 50, a lifetime goal of mine. And I believe that begins by starting to document how we think and how we act, and a good way to live life, kind of like a life manual, if you will, on how to think different and be successful. And so the purpose of season 3 is not to get the most amount of views. It's not to get the most amount of downloads. It's not to make the most amount of money, although we do want to do those things. That is not the driving factor. If that was the driving factor, I would have done a much bigger promotion. We would have spent much more money with this. We would have tried to sell you something. But no, the purpose of season 3 is to really bring topics that matter out to the world and to learn from people that are experts, and then go create a manual, go create curriculum around different topics. And this is documented and laid out on our website, some of the different topics that are out there. You can go to thinkdifferenttheory.com to see that. And so that's what season 3 is all about. Is this future of, guys, I believe that we as free thinkers are going to be the people that change the world. All right. I believe that not every entrepreneur changes the world. I believe that not every business owner, not every salesperson changes the world, but I believe that a free thinker tied with the skills of entrepreneurs, tied with the skills of being a producer, those are the ones that are going to go out and change the world for the better, creating sustainable solutions, reforming education. I believe one of the single biggest problems in the world today, outside of a lack of God, is a terrible education system. I believe the education system has failed, and I'm on a mission, I'm on a journey to bring this idea of topics that matter to the world, document what I find, and then share that in written curriculum format, and then to go in and start revolutionizing schools and revolutionizing the education system, not by attacking them head on, but by literally creating an entirely new system and sucking the life out of the terrible system that we have and bringing life into a new, better way of doing things. I can't do this alone. It's not just about me. It's about us. It's about the movement of free thinkers. It's about the movement of free thinkers that are going to go out and change the world for the better and unlock the best version of ourselves. And even if we think differently, which we will, even if we think differently than each other, which we will, we can still come together and collectively agree that when we become the best version of ourselves, that is what's ultimately going to change the world for the better. I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. No one does. But collectively together, we can find the best answers and move the world forward. And that is what Think Different Theory is all about. If you're excited, comment down below, smash the like button, smash the love button, leave a comment, hit the share button. And like I said, if you're not subscribed yet, YouTube, Facebook, and iTunes, Spotify, wherever your favorite audio platform is, make sure to go and do that. Guys, I think we are ready to bring on our first guest. The first couple episodes, guys, we did pre-record just so that we could kick off. It was kind of hard to coordinate these things. So this one was a pre-recorded interview, but it's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's a 2-hour interview with Jordan Mederich. And we're going to kick this off here. I'm going to let him introduce himself. But guys, I'm so stoked. It's finally here. Guys, the last thing I want to say here is this. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an internet marketer. I'm a marketer that happens to market online. But I'm not here to make money off of you guys. Like, yes, I want to make money, but I run a successful business. I have clients. I make money. And will we probably have sponsorships, or will we probably maybe sell t-shirts or maybe different info products eventually down the road? Yes, because we are a business for profit. But at the end of the day, like, I'm here to help you think differently. Money and profit in and of itself is not my motive. Money is the determining factor on whether I can put something out. Yes, it has to be profitable. Yes, I have to go out there and make profit, and I deserve to make profit, as any producer should. You should not be ashamed to make money. But I want you to understand that I'm not just putting out this show to get views. I'm not just putting out this show to make money. There are far easier ways to go out and make money than starting a show. I'm here because I want to change the world. I'm here because this is what I believe in. This is my identity. This is who I am. I believe that I am put on this earth to help people think different, to help people shift their mindset, to help people become and unlock the best version of themselves so they go out there, they do the thing that makes them feel the most alive, and go out and change the world for the better. So know that my intention here, yes, we want to get views, yes, we want to do downloads, but that's not the underlying intention. The underlying intention is to bring real content, to bring truth to the world, to provide facts to the world, to teach people how to think, not what to think, but how to think, and provide resources around that. All right, that's all I've got. Without further ado, let's cut over to our interview and check out this super sweet new intro. It's very Joe Rogan-esque style. It's only about 5 or 6 seconds long. I think you're going to absolutely love it. All right, guys, I love you all, and let's cut to the interview. Let's roll. Season 3 begins right now. Oh, control your mind, control your life. Think Different Theory, baby. That's what we do. And we're live with the man whose ads I cannot escape. Dude.
I can't escape my own, dude. It's horrible.
Dude, they're everywhere. I click on them. I clicked on one ad one time. This is, I don't know, 6 months ago probably. And it has not left me alone. I probably see your ads 5 times a day.
Good old retargeting.
It's great. It's great. How you been, dude?
Yeah. Really great to connect, Josh. I've seen your show, and I know that, I think more people need to express their opinions and their voice more vocally than they do. And I think you're a good example of sharing.
Well, I appreciate
how you
that.
feel that. Yeah.
I always make the joke. I'm like, people have no idea what I think, and I'm kind of, lack self-confidence, and everybody laughs because it's about polar opposite there. I think so too. I think in a world of cancel culture, I think people are like afraid to express their views because they're afraid that they're going to get yelled at. But I don't know. I just feel like people don't know what they believe enough. You know what I mean?
I think there is a severe lack of confidence and a mix of lack of confidence and a lack of the ability to voice those opinions without being just so pointlessly polarizing or being mistaken, being, having the intent completely misunderstood.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time. I saw a post yesterday. a guy who's a fitness guy. He said, he actually said, any woman who's over 30, and I'm going to butcher the post or whatever.
Right.
He said, any woman over 30 who's able to stay in shape and balance work and kids and all that needs to be like applauded or complimented or something. And it's like, it was a total normal post. It was like, hey, great for you guys. Like, I know it's hard. I'm recognizing your pain. And then it was this huge, like, just onslaught of one person saying, I'm a woman over 30 and this is so offensive to me. And I can't believe that you would dare say this. And other people were like, I love this. Like, thanks. I appreciate compliments and stuff. So you can't say anything really that isn't defined in fact and objectivity. Anything subjective is obviously subject to putting a target on your chest. And we find that out on social media all too often. But
I mean, even at this point, it doesn't even matter if it's facts. I mean, it doesn't even matter. At this point, you're just wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I disagree with you, you are wrong, And I think we've gotten to the point along, with that post, it's like people assume that if we applaud somebody else or congratulate somebody else for winning, we're automatically trying to victimize them if they're not there. It's like we've gotten to a point where we've victimized, or I should say demonized, winning and success and any form of hard work. Like, if I worked my butt off to get somewhere, that somehow that prevented you from doing the same.
Dude, it's like I was literally thinking of that this morning and putting a post out, but even that can be polarizing, right? It's like, you should never be ashamed of your wins and your own progress and how hard you push. Man, it's incredible. I'd put out a post recently that someone had made us an offer for one of our companies. And it was super flattering to me. And I was just sharing how excited I was. Like, hey, whenever someone makes you an offer like that, they're seeing the good that you're doing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've had people like message me directly, like, how dare you talk about yourself like that or whatever, or like, you should never put that type of thing out there in the world. People are really going to judge you. And I'm like, you are completely missing the point. And I find, here's the thing, Josh, that I find the people who will criticize, chastise, and vocalize opinions on the contrary to anything you're saying that's sharing, because I think there's a huge difference between showing pride and being prideful. Huge.
For sure.
Those people, the people who are doing nothing, often have so much to say about people who are doing anything.
Yeah.
So
I think that's super. I think that's super true. There's the post. I don't know who originally said it. Everybody claims credit for these posts. Of there's some inspirational quote that goes around. I always just say it's Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty. He probably said it, right?
He says everything. Right?
He says everything. But it said you'll never be criticized by someone that's doing more than you, right? Mm-hmm. And, I don't know that's always 100% true, but the concept, I think, is, right? Like, I've never been, the people that I look up to, the people that I'm hanging out with that are far more successful than I am, right? I've never been criticized by them, right? I've never been told by my mentors, my coach, people that may even vehemently disagree with some of the things that I do or say, that are like, you suck, right? Or how dare you? And it's like, the people that are the loudest, well, what's the saying? I worked on a farm, and that's how I grew up. I grew up on a farm, and it was the squeaky joint gets the grease, right? So, the ones that yell the loudest, they're the ones that are going to get the attention and whatnot. And it's so frustrating, because as someone that produces a ton of content and that has been in the content game for 4 years, it's so difficult not to play into that at times, because it's all around, it's all the time. And it's so easy to, right? It's so easy to cause division. And it was funny, the other day I posted, and this, if you followed me for any length of time, I'm pretty vocal about politics, especially for Trump, right? And I'm like, hey, yeah, Trump's a jerk. Trump's, he sucks in a lot of ways, but like, I'm voting for him. Look what all he's done, right? Like, we're not electing a perfect dude. And I posted this thing, which was basically like, dear liberals and Donald Trump haters. And it was this expression of what the right, generally speaking, is feeling towards the left, and why we could possibly vote for someone like Donald Trump. And so many people were like, how dare you, right? You said you stood for unity. You stood for us coming together. And all you're doing here is causing division. And I'm like, and 2 days ago, I interviewed a guy that openly supports the Black Lives Matter organization and wants to defund the police. What are you talking about, right? Like, I'm communicating something, right? I'm making a post. I'm not taking a stand to be like, yes, everybody sucks or everybody's this way. But people get so They want to see and they want to hear what they want to hear and see, and they will find it in your post, whether that or content or whatever it is, regardless of the fact.
It's confirmation bias. You buy a white truck,
It's
you're going to see
ridiculous.
white trucks everywhere. And so you're going to look for content. Dude, that's why, so that movie, The Social Dilemma, came out, right? And
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to.
Well, as an advertiser, you're going to be like, okay, this is not that shocking. It's the people who don't know what retargeting is and what pixels are and how advertising works and how the world works, right? That you are the product. They're all like, I can't believe this is how Facebook works. Well, duh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's why Jordan won't leave me alone on his ads, guys.
I know. Don't click my links, man. I'll find you. But please don't hide them. That hurts us too. Okay. So
and that's why I haven't. I don't. And now I'm like, I don't click them and I don't hide them. Yeah. I just let them go because I feel like that'll cause you the least amount of damage.
Yeah, so. No, and I appreciate that. And I think there's mutual respect amongst marketers not to hide each other's ads. I think if there's any show notes, like let's just put that into the show notes. If you're a marketer and you have respect for other marketers, don't hide their ads, don't report their ads, don't like cause harm to other marketers. And it's exactly what you just said. And I mentioned that recently, that the people who have something to say about you they're not the person that they want to be yet.
Yeah.
But the people who will say something, who won't tear you down and raise people up, they're the ones that are more than they ever thought they could be.
Yeah.
They're more than they could ever imagine. And I think that there's a fine line, of course, with everything. That I think there's some competition you can play against competition. It's Pepsi and Coke, right? I'm the founder of Dropfunnels. It's myself versus Clickfunnels, Kartra, Kajabi. It's like all those. And so we poke fun at all of them, right?
Right.
It's kind of our thing. And by the point that they start poking fun at us, we'll be like, yes, we got their attention.
Right.
We're on the radar. Like that's a huge point of pride is when, when that happens. But yeah, man, I think, but I appreciate that. But on the social dilemma, back to the initial point was the thing, the issue with confirmation bias is even when you type into Google, climate change is, or whatever, or
I saw that
Trump is, or, Obama is, or whatever, you'll get different responses based on what you want to see and what you'll find. It's why there's literally flat earthers. Do I have a friend who's a flat earther? And I was blown away. I can't even understand it. Now, as someone who, as you are, it's fun to kind of play into that world and say, like, how can I try to understand their perspective?
Yeah.
How can I pretend to be a flat earther? Even to the point where you can make a logical case that the earth is flat using rational and reason, that could you actually convince someone as not a flat earther that you understand their viewpoint so well, you could convince someone else of it.
That's how you know you have a good enough understanding of something to, like, if I can convince somebody of something that I don't even believe, but I understand the viewpoint well enough to do it, that's when you know, well, let's just say that's when you know you're a marketer.
You're a good copywriter,
right? But it's so interesting because one of the things that I thought about doing, so, we're going into the more, well, when we relaunch the podcast, it's topics that matter, right? And that's kind of our tagline. But it's more of this political, social mindset all around, like just topics that matter, right? And so I thought one of the things that is so difficult to find right now is just facts. Just like, here's what it is, right? And so we thought about creating a site where we would have different topics on there, and then I would create 2 videos for each topic. And then one, I would debate the Republican side, and the other, I would debate the Democrat side.
I love
it. Then you could literally see the same person try to convince you either way, simply by using, because I'm pretty vocal. Everybody knows where I stand, right? But I'm also very well educated enough and very persuasive to where if I wanted to convince somebody of the other side of things, I could study it enough. And I think that would bring out a wildly new perspective for a lot of people, because I have literally, as you said, gone on to a topic where I'm like, clearly I don't support this, but by the time we're done with the conversation, I'm going to get you to believe that that's the right way to go, right? And I think it's so interesting. It's so fascinating.
I think it's very rare for anyone to understand both perspectives well enough to teach it. And honestly, it's like almost those are the only opinions that matter.
Yeah.
An opinion who's one-sided, it's like, okay, I
know.
Even if I know, I think about a lot of like, there's a lot of like very vocal. We're in the.
Uh-oh. I lost you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now we're back. Okay,
Yep.
we're in the
Okay.
middle of go.
Okay. So we're in the middle of probably one of the most polarized political landscapes, right?
The most, hands
Yeah.
down.
And so there's the voices are further, and the social dilemma even talks about that based on like graphs, like how far apart people are. And so it's like neither, in my opinion, here we go. I don't think either opinion on either side is valid if they can't eloquently enough describe the other person's viewpoint enough to make a logical decision on it. Right. It's like, so here's the example. When people, they're out there like picketing and waving flags and stuff and at the rallies and all that kind of stuff. And I think someone on YouTube, they're doing this show and they said, hey, could you explain to me the counter argument? Could you explain what they think?
Yeah.
But they're like, I could never even wrap my mind around. I'm like, well, then your voice doesn't matter.
Right.
Then your voice matters, but your opinion doesn't matter. It's not valid.
Right.
It's almost like people who would say like, we're only going to, in schools, only teach evolution, only teach us one thing and not have any. It's like, dude, if you're going to teach evolution, teach all viewpoints. If you're going to teach creation, teach all viewpoints. Right.
Well, and I think that's the interesting thing. It's like people don't want to educate about the other side.
It's confirmation bias.
Right. They don't even want to acknowledge it though. It's insanity. Right. And that's one of the things that like I said, I try to do with, like, I am vehemently opposed to the Black Lives Matter organization, not the movement. Right. Like I believe Black Lives Matter. Right. But the organization I think is a terrible organization. I have read what they are promoting, what they are about. They are Marxist. Literally, they claim it. And you know what I mean? They want to destroy the family and the makeup of the traditional family. And I'm like, okay, but let me go find a dude who's Black, who grew up in Atlanta, who's been there for 27 years, who, when he comes on my show, has a Black Lives Matter flag flying in the background and openly supports Black Lives Matter organization and wanting to defund the police. And let's have an hour and a half discussion about why he thinks that, right? And it's so fascinating because I probably got maybe not the most. I probably got like top 10 episodes that I've done with the most hate feedback on that one. And I'm like, if you have a problem with that, you're kind of part of the problem, right? Because you're not even willing to acknowledge, like, you want to be heard. And this is the thing I don't get. It's like, you want to be heard, but so do they. So if you're not willing to hear their side of things, why would they ever hear your side of things? And, be the change you want to see in the world, right? I mean, it's like these simple things that we just don't live by. And don't get me wrong, it's not like you have to believe what they believe, but at least acknowledge that their viewpoint is a viewpoint at all, right? Like, and that they actually are feeling that way, that they're not just trying to be idiots.
By the way, like, if anyone understands marketing, copywriting, persuasion, if anyone read Influence by Robert Cialdini or even Persuasion or any of these marketing
love both of those books. Love them.
The number one way to convince, like the word convince has kind of been destroyed, right? So convince is really just to give enough information to help them make that decision, right? So to convince them of this thing, you have to be not shouting in their face.
Right.
So and honestly, on both sides, Black Lives Matter, the defund the police stuff, the Trump side, the left side, all these big protests and whatnot. It's like, who are you convincing other than the people who already believe what you believe?
Right.
You are wasting your time.
Right. And I want to be clear. I have no problem with protests.
No,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
feel free.
By all means.
Dude, one of the most beautiful moments. There's a video. It was during a Black Lives Matter protest. Huge people just shouting. There's like 3 lines of cops. And it was during all this stuff going on. And this has nothing to do with politics. It's just human beings, human value. The Black Lives Matter side, or that side, was screaming at the cops, and the cops were just standing there kind of stoically, not moving or whatever. And then this guy with this megaphone is like, we gotta like be louder, be louder, be louder. And then he's like, now everyone like take a knee. And so everyone on that side took a knee, and then all the other cops took a knee too.
Nice.
Out of this like mutual respect. And then there was just dead silence. And then the Black Lives Matter side started coming over and like hugging the cops, and they had like this beautiful moment of unification, which is like, holy crap, we're all humans and we're all feeling some type of a pain through this. That when this person is killed because of this, it's not like we're all in agreement that person should have died or vice versa. And so those protests specifically, where they do end up with some mutual understanding or something, where a debate can take place.
Right.
even if you don't agree, you're allowed to disagree.
Yeah.
But to come to like some mutual respect, I think it's beauty. I think it's art.
So I have a question for you, which, are you religious at all?
So again, when we get into like definitions and stuff, I don't consider myself religious. I'm a believer.
Okay.
My dad's actually a pastor. So
you believe in God or a higher power of some sort?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Okay, cool. So let's assume there. Okay. So when it comes to America and laws and deciding how things are passed, right? Essentially the argument, and I'm generalizing here for any of you people out there that are like, that's not how it works. I understand. Okay. But like, as a general rule, the argument of the woke left, if you will. All right. Like, once again, I'm not trying to degrade anybody here. I'm actually trying to look at two arguments objectively. Okay. The one side is basically like, hey, listen, you can't assume God in everything, right? Like, you can't put Christianity, let's say, or you can't put, your religion, your faith into politics, into religion, because not everybody believes that way, and laws are going to be shaped the wrong way. Right. And then the Christian or the right side of things, right? Conservative side of things would be like, generally speaking, they lean more to, they cling to their guns and their religion, right? Like the classic, thing, right? And basically it's like, hey, we have to have some moral law. We have to have some way we make decisions. And, the founding fathers were like, hey, our Constitution is only going to work for a moral and religious people, right? So they're assuming that there's some form of morality, some form of religion. It doesn't even all have to be the same, but there's some basic way that we all agree upon of like, hey, this is right and this is wrong. And we've, up until I would say recently, we've kind of generally accepted those things, right? And so now, as I have, and, after dealing with the loss of a brother in a helicopter crash and going through me kind of leaving the church and coming back to the church and really exploring faith and religion and traveling around the world to understand culture and perspective, like, I really have wrestled with God and religion and, things like that. And I am a Christian. I do believe in the Bible, but certainly not without wrestling. And I'm not 100% even convinced that maybe the Bible is not 100% true, right? I'm working on it, right? But at the end of the day, I like, okay, we have to have some moral and religious thing, but I also know that there's no absolute truth in the way that we can actually prove it. Right? I can't prove absolute truth. I know it's there. At least I believe that. But like, I don't know. I can't prove which way it is actually true. And so your way of truth and my way of truth and the left's way of truth and the right's way of truth is all going to look different, right? So how do we as a society, in your mind, collectively move forward? Because, and why do you think, like, why would you tell somebody your way is true? Because really, it's just kind of who's ever the best at convincing everybody else that their way is true is what's going to win, right? I mean, like, really, that's all it is. And so I can base it in morality and facts, and I can be like, well, here's why, all of my reasons why I believe the Bible is true. I can't prove it, right? I have to accept it by faith. Even the Bible says that. So how am I supposed to convince somebody of that and form laws around that on the same way? How's the left? Like, how do we make laws? How are we supposed to make decisions moving forward as a 350 million person country?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot to unpack. So I would say, first of all, every person, regardless of what they believe, is living in a state of faith, some type of a faith. Atheists, agnostics, Christians, Muslims, everyone is living in a type of faith. And if you say you don't have faith in something, I think that's where like self-harm comes into play, is when you literally have no hope, no faith. I equate hope with faith. And I think faith is believing in something that you can't really see, right?
Yeah.
And so in that same way that Christians and people who believe in the Bible, or frankly, any religious text,
right.
We tend, anyone who doesn't believe in that says, oh, you can't use your religious text to defend your religion or your faith. While that's true, you also can't say, I'm not allowed to use that as an asset to argue my point. It's almost like we're both going to go to the battlefield with nothing in our hands. We're going to just fist fight, right?
Right.
But when it comes to the culture of our country, I think we absolutely have to have some moral understanding of value and faith and principle. We have to. And I think it's mostly been defended. And I think that whoever gets, I think whoever's elected as the president and their particular views overgeneralizing and
yes, for sure,
overgeneralizing, that tends to be what people are believing in the culture in the time. And so, yeah, I can tell we're probably going to get slammed on this podcast.
Oh, for
probably
sure.
everything we're going to say, but hey, we can't see the comments live right now, so that's good. But I would, that's why I love these conversations. We can be super frank and honest. I think straight up that our country, from my personal perspective, is best with the moral fabric that was founded in the Constitution, in the Founding Fathers' belief system, markup, and language. I believe that we are the best with that. Is it perfect? No. I mean, it was written so long ago. Things change. Things can be amended. Culture changes. But I would equate it to a company. It's almost like if Google creates a certain culture, a certain set of rules that we're all going to abide by, we're all going to live with, we're all going to decide this is how the founders of the company want this company to exist in the marketplace, but also for their employees, the people who live in that company. If I decide I don't like Google's rules and how they do things, I go work at Facebook. I move. I go wherever I feel like, A, if I want to stay here, I need to be okay with the fact that that's how the rules are played. Or B, I need to go somewhere where I feel more enveloped. I feel more supported.
Okay, so I want to play the counter argument here, because I agree with you, right? But I want to play the counter argument. Counter argument says, hey, listen, if a rule is dumb, it should be fixed, right? Like, we are a progressive society. We are America. We're the leader of the free world. We change, we evolve, we grow, right? The Constitution was written hundreds of years ago, right? It's outdated. We need to literally update it. We need to get rid of guns off the street. We need to eliminate systematic racism, right? Like, this is moving humanity forward. Okay. So, and that is a counter argument, right? And you and I both know, at least I would assume, like, humans, the whole universe, we are constantly evolving. Like, we're moving forward, right? And we're expanding. And so as humanity expands and consciousness expands and, the universe expands, like, we by default move forward with it. We're always changing to a certain extent. So while I agree with you, to the person who thinks that America is systematically racist, or the person that thinks that America is bad and they want to come in and change it because they're, for whatever reason, they truly, truly believe what they're doing is good, does that person then become an enemy of the system? Or is that a view that we need to respect and potentially let into our society?
So you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You founded companies, you exited companies.
Yes.
In the same way that people feel systematic racism, right? I'm not stating whether it is or isn't, or my opinion. Once I do have opinions on it, but completely outside of that,
okay,
we feel the most desire and propensity to want to change something that's affecting us the most. You're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. We get taxed up the wazoo. 30, 40%. If you're really good, you can get it down to 25%.
If you're really good.
I want to eliminate taxation because it affects me deeply. And I'm a family man. I've got 2 kids. I've got a beautiful wife. I was born with, a family of 7. My dad's a pastor. My mom's a teacher. We came from nothing. I've had to bootstrap and build from scratch, just like you have. And we've busted our butt to make what we have, only to get taxed at these insane levels. So people who aren't being taxed aren't complaining about tax and saying, like, that's unjust. Like, technically, income tax, from my perspective, is illegal. It's unconstitutional to have income tax. I might move to Florida just so I can at least have no state income tax, because I think it's wrong. And in my case, when my businesses are doing well, I've got 12 full-time employees. I've got a huge development team, multiple companies. And every time that my company makes more, my team members can tell you they get raises. I hire new people. Amazon is of course, Jeff Bezos is massively rich because he's created so much opportunity. He's changed the landscape. So in the same way that we feel like what hurts us most is what we want to fight against and change. And so that's why I feel the same propensity and desire to want to change the business landscape so that I can empower other people and give more. I mean, we try to give a lot and give people opportunity,
right,
and whatnot. And like, so in that same way, I recognize that people who feel the systematic racism that exists in our current culture has been around for hundreds of years, and clearly that needs to be changed. And we need to we need to all take our part, I think, in recognizing, yeah, they're going through this. Can I support it? If someone were to come out to me, and here's the position, if someone were to come out to me and say, no, taxes should not be eliminated, taxes need to go up, every time people say that, I get as mad as someone who's in the Black Lives Matter movement, or someone who, on the systematic racism side. When they get that mad about someone saying, no, it's not systematically racist. I'm like, wait a second, it doesn't affect you. Taxation doesn't affect you the way it affects me. So don't say taxes need to be increased for the wealthy, because it doesn't affect you. You get it all back at the end of the year.
Right. And so it's what's super interesting about taxes. I actually have a very unique perspective on taxes. See, it's funny because I actually don't mind paying taxes. Now, I have no problem with people being mad at taxes. I mean, I'm friends with Steve Larson, who thinks that all taxation is theft, right? He gets so mad, right? And I know lots of people that are like that. It's cool. I actually have no problem paying taxes. My thing is that if I'm going to pay taxes, I should at least get to choose where it goes, right? So hey, listen, government, if you're going to charge me 35% taxes, cool. I'll pay my 35% taxes. Let's have a flat rate of taxes of, let's say, 10% of whatever I pay in. You get to keep to fund the military and to fund basic infrastructure of keeping America running and safe. I believe that the federal government, right,
cops,
right.
Yeah,
I believe that the government essentially has two responsibilities. It is to keep America safe from foreign enemies, and is to promote economic growth. That's essentially the role of the government in my mind. Federal government, right? And then city would be roads and police officers and promote economic growth. Okay. So I look at it and I go, cool. So you take let's say I make $1 million, and I gotta have to pay $350,000 of that in taxes. Okay, cool. You get to take 50 grand of that, or 100 grand of that, or whatever it is. And that's going to go to military and economic growth. The remaining $250,000, there are 50, 60, 80, 300 different funds that I must pay. I must spend the $250,000, but I get to choose where it goes to.
I 100%. I've never actually heard that perspective. I actually freaking love it,
because it allows me.
Same way, yes, in the same way that when I give charity, I give to charity or churches or whatever, I get to pick where that goes, and that's not forced upon me. I 100% agree.
Because I have no problem.
Love it, and I'm stealing it, by the way. That is my new perspective.
Do it. Great. Because here's the deal. Here's my thought process, right? One of the things that I find very fascinating, since the whole racism thing has come on the scene, right, very heavily, I've actually studied a lot of racism, and I've specifically like systematic racism and the whole white privilege thing, which I don't think it's white privilege. I think it's privilege. I think, typically speaking, maybe in America, maybe more whites have privilege, but I don't think it's white privilege. It's privilege, but whatever. What's interesting is in wealthy communities, in communities that are very well off, everybody does better. Okay. I moved to a suburb of Denver. Okay. The place where I live has a high average income, right? It's much higher than the standard average in America. The place where I live is very safe. It's very clean. We have sidewalks and parks everywhere, right? It's a very, very good thing. So even the poor people, even the homeless people, we have some homeless people here, right? Even the homeless people's quality of life is better off. And that only happens if we all go and pay our fair share, if you will. Meaning our tax dollars went in to build those sidewalks and build those roads and build those parks. So I'm like, sweet, cool. If I live in this city and I know that I'm going to spend $30,000 in taxes towards this specific city for this year, and I want more parks and more roads and more things, I should be able to give all my money to that. If I want more for homeless people, if I want more for whatever it is, that way, me as an entrepreneur and you as someone that is going to make a lot of money, when you make more money, you have more control over what gets changed. And if you want change, by going and creating change, you have to go make more money. You have to be a producer rather than a consumer. I think it solves, it's not perfect, but I think it solves so many of the issues that we face today with the government.
I'm sure we're hearing people are probably screaming
at us.
If they're still here, they're still screaming through the screen right now, saying like, "Well, you already get that. You get to vote, and then those people get to, and there's lobbyists that get to fight for all that and whatnot." Again, I think globally speaking, and I know there's every one of these micro issues could be debated for weeks, and people do that, right? That each one of these things. But if we're just having this blanket kind of conversations about overarching theories and ideas and principles, Yeah, I think people tend to defend and fight for the things that matter to the most to them and affect them the most, right? Um, if I think I'm totally privileged. I call it blessed. I think I'm just
Yes,
exceptionally blessed.
100%. I'm
I'm
blessed.
I mean, people could call it privilege or whatever. I think it's kind of degrading or whatever. It's like, I'm extremely fortunate. Thank
Right.
God I live in America. Thank God I have loving parents and a kind family, and I live in a nice town.
Right.
And yes, I've had to fight extremely hard for the things that I have or whatever. And
Right. You didn't
and
inherit. You weren't the
I
son
didn't
of a
inherit a penny, nothing.
billionaire, right?
Yeah,
That's
nothing.
privilege. Being
Yeah,
born to a billionaire and inheriting $500 million, we can call that privilege.
yeah.
I don't
And
even
so,
think they would fight
yeah,
that.
and so I think that there's African Americans and Asians and Latinos and white people, and all of us, by virtue of living in America and having kind of the same laws, some of the same blessings are really afforded to us, right?
Yeah.
Some of them, right? Um, and some are not, right? But I think for me, my biggest shift to make, Josh, is I want to, and I think it all happened because there's a big explosion, obviously, around the Black Lives Matter movement, is that because that has never impacted me, my goal has been trying to understand it.
Yeah.
Um, before even speaking on it. The danger in that is that this was where things went way off the edge in this last thing, in my opinion. I mean, probably in your opinion as well, is that if you didn't speak about it,
Right.
you lost. If you spoke about it, you lost. So it's like, no, I'm trying to come out to understand this in the same way that I don't know what it's like to be Latino and have to jump across a fence just to survive because my family's being threatened by the drug cartel. I
Right.
don't know what that's like. I want to try to understand that in the same way that Black Lives Matter movement, I want to understand their perspective. Them screaming at me is not going to convince me.
Right.
People telling me that if I'm not speaking for it, then I'm complicit is ridiculous
Right.
and insane and completely illogical.
Right.
That if I don't speak, I lose. And if I speak, then I'm speaking from privilege and I also lose.
Right. It's one thing to be like, if you're asked a direct question, hey, do you support Black lives? Not, hey, do you think racism exists? Yes or no? And you're like, I refuse to speak on it. Okay, then maybe they have a point of like, in some way, then maybe you're being complicit in some way. But like, by simply not saying anything about it because you're not educated or not informed well enough is ridiculous. It's insanity. It's delusion. That's really what it is. To assume that everybody is going to understand that this is a thing. When, I mean, like I've said it before, I grew up in a county and there was one Black family in the whole county, right? Racism to me was if you looked at someone because they were Black and you thought differently of them, that was the only definition of racism that I knew existed. No idea any other thing. So when someone was like, Josh, you're a racist, I'm like, what are you talking about? You're insane. No, I'm not. But they had a totally different definition. How am I supposed to speak out on that? So anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, I've had Black friends, and also during this whole thing, I was also blamed for being complicit in this whole thing. I'm like,
how dare you?
I have nothing against it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand it. So look, but I'm also coming at the perspective because anyone could edit this down, and I'll bet you 5 years from now,
it's going to happen.
I don't know, 20 years from now, when I run for president, someone's going to grab a soundbite from this and say, look at him. He was a racist on Josh Forti's podcast. Anyway,
it's going to happen.
The global thing is like, we're all growing. We're all learning, and I want to learn to love people better. I want to learn to treat people better. And that only comes from understanding. I think they also need to understand where I'm coming from and what are the things that matter to me. Let's figure that out without saying like talking about it is bad, talking for it or against it is bad. It's like these global, I'm just like winded from it, bro. I'm so like, this is 2020 has been a friggin', it's been a mess.
It's been quite the year. I think that the biggest thing that both sides, and this is in no way exclusive to one side, is that both sides, we've mentioned it before, want the other side to hear their side without having to go and hear the other side first, right? And the number one thing that I have learned in studying psychology and studying how we change and identity and beliefs and change is that like if you want to make change, you must be the change first. If you want to be understood, you must understand the other side first, right? You have to, right?
If you don't want your kids to hit, don't hit your kids.
Right.
If you want your wife to love you, love your wife.
Right.
I mean,
It's pretty straightforward.
Be, do, have, right?
Classic. Right. And so it's one of those things where I look at it and go, okay, I've got to be the change. Here's where I struggle. And this is something that I am currently working through in my life as we speak. And I'm getting better at it, especially as 2020 goes on, as I'm getting more controversial. But like, I'm an empath, dude. Like, I feel people's pain. If somebody is hurting, I like just want to, like, I see a homeless person on the side of the road and I just want to go buy them a house. It doesn't even matter why they're there. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm like, yo, go get a job because it's right. Like, I understand the path, but that doesn't mean my heart does not hurt for them. Okay. So when I see people in pain, when I see people rioting, when I see people homeless, like, I feel their pain and I'm like, I want to help you so badly. But I also have a different perspective on what help looks like, personal responsibility. That being said, I don't like enemies. I have a lot of them, but I don't like them. And at first, I thought I could come in and I could change the world by unifying everybody and making everybody happy. And that just isn't possible. It doesn't work that way, right? And so when I look at America and I look at particularly the landscape that we're in here today, like, I believe that, and I'm going to use the left and the right here because it's the easiest for people to understand. I believe that some of the ideas, and in fact, a lot of the ideas that are promoted by the left/the Democrat Party, I don't care if you don't identify with them. If you vote Democrat, you're supporting these ideas and ideologies, are actually truly dangerous. They're actually truly evil, right? I actually believe that. And so I go through and I want to stand up to these things. And there's this part of me that's like, hey, we need to unify everybody and we need to understand the other side and we need to come together and we need to, like, we really need to understand that, like, if we're ever going to bring about change, we got to come together. And then there's another part of me that is like, you cannot possibly support this. You're evil. Like, this is evil. This is wrong. And call them out. And they're going to get mad about it. And I'm going to be called divisive and I'm going to be called just as terrible as everybody else. And it's probably going to seem like that. But at some point, it's like, I do think that this is a battle, and I'm not going to categorize the Democrats/left as evil and the Republicans as good because that's not accurate. But at some point, I think for me, I came to this realization of there is a battle of good and evil going on right now. There is. And that means that there's going to be people on the evil side. There's some evil people out there. There's some evil ideologies out there. And I think that that's very difficult for someone like me to navigate in the political landscape or just in the landscape of America in general. Because as someone that would love unity and everybody to get along, I also understand that that's not possible. And it's like, where's that line of let's call for unity, but also let's definitely call out evil when we see it.
Okay. So yeah, I actually have I think a more firm opinion on this stuff as well. And I'll even give probably the most divisive example that exists in our culture today.
Nice.
But before I do that, I'll come back to it. Are you of the opinion that you can only vocally speak towards a cause if you are the putting your money where your mouth is aspect, where if you are not personally working towards, personally funding, or being an actual physical activist for a cause, do you believe that if you're not doing that, you do not get an opinion, or you do get anyone can have an opinion on a subject?
I believe that anybody can have an opinion on the subject. However, I believe that the more active you are, the more pull your opinion has. So if someone like Tim Ballard, who, the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, wants to speak on sex trafficking versus somebody that has donated $5 and is like, yeah, I think sex trafficking is terrible. Like, his opinion is going to pull significantly more weight, and his opinion matters more than yours does. It does. It just does, right? I'm not saying your opinion is invalid. I'm saying that his literally matters more because he literally has 3,000, probably more like 3 million times more data.
He's got the evidence, right?
Right.
So from my perspective, I think it is critical as much as possible to be, I think it's all about putting your money where your mouth is, right? Yes. I think opinions are just like belly buttons, right? And right. Here's the most divisive example of this. And I think this is the same reason why I think I've had conversations with very far left-leaning people. And by the end of the conversation, they've moved much more moderate, or maybe their parents were that, and that's why they think that way. Maybe their friends are that, that's why they think that way. Same with the right. The right could be very the right. It's so confusing, the right and left, right?
Right.
But I think more people, I think about 90% of the population is more centralized than the extremely loud 5% on the other side.
Either
right?
side, I would agree.
Those people will never move. They'll never be shaken. There's actually something mentally wrong with the synapses in their brain that they cannot be convinced or moved or
one way or the other.
Right.
And by the way, that goes for the right and the left, all you psychos out there that think that we just called people mentally dumb, all right? Goes for those Trump supporters and the Democrats or Biden supporters. So chill out.
All sides, if you are unmovable in your position, there's something physically wrong with the synapse connections in your brain. There's a chemical issue. Anyway, so I think everyone evolves and changes and improves. I think on our deathbed, we're the best version of ourselves, right? We're the most woke, okay? So here's the most divisive example of this, and it's the topic of abortion, which is, I mean, it's a can of worms. And the biggest thing is that I have a very firm opinion on it, and it's the same thing that if you voice your opinion on something that cannot possibly impact you, people will see that as you're not a woman. That's not your body to do that. Right. But I'm saying, but if I would say that my voice, where I'm not only advocating, but funding and also willing to say, look, for me, I'm extremely pro-life. Don't kill anyone at any point. Don't shoot people. Don't do death penalty stuff, I guess. Don't kill things. Don't kill dogs.
Right.
Don't kill cats. There's that movie, Don't F with Cats.
I have not seen it.
It's twisted and crazy. But just don't kill things. I'm kind of like in that perspective, globally speaking. Like I know that there's war and there's all that thing,
right.
And but in general, if I am advocating for a certain thing, even if I'm not capable of having a baby, if I'm willing to say, no, don't do that, and I will take your kid and raise them as my own, I feel like my perspective and opinion is as valid as a woman whom that could actually affect.
I am so happy you brought this up. All right. Here's how I look at this. And I think this is fascinating because I get in trouble all the time with this, right?
We're totally going to get in trouble. Dude.
How dare you tell a woman how to be with their body, right? Here's the deal. I'm not. You made a choice. Listen, while I disagree with it, I'm okay with from a legal perspective. There's me as a moral person, and then there's me as hey, let's vote on actual laws here, right? Me as a moral person would have a problem with this. But hey, listen, legally, if there's rape or incest and there wants to be an abortion, I will make an exception for that. I'm going to throw that out the window right now because I don't want to go down that argument. I want to look at this as a general rule. I don't agree with it, but I get it. If you're raped and you know right away and it takes place, I'll make an exception. Cool. But let's talk about 99% of the abortions that go on in the world today. Okay. You made a choice to have unprotected sex. You made a choice to go out there and get pregnant. It might have been an accident, but it is the result of your actions. Now, from this point on, we must look at things as facts. We must look at things for how they are, okay? And I understand you're like, oh, I'm a woman. I have this thing growing in my body. And believe me, I don't know what that's like. I never will know what that's like, right? But here's what I do know. I do know that in order for that to happen, a choice had to be made. I do know that there is life inside of you, and so that it is not just your body that you're affecting anymore at this point. And I also do know that it is not a permanent change in the sense of you do have the ability to give that child up for adoption or give that child up for abortion. To go to an orphanage if they are born. That's a terrible scenario. Like, we don't want that to happen. But at the end of the day, what we need to understand is that we have to look at facts and not the feelings of who's involved. And every argument that I see on the side of pro-abortion is that you don't know what it's like to have a baby inside of you. You can't tell me what to do with my body. And I'm like, I didn't tell you what to do with your body. You chose to go and have sex with a dude and get pregnant. Like, that happened. I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell you not, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's so frustrating to me because I'm like, you chose to conceive a child. Like, that was a choice, right? So why all of a sudden does that child who is alive, and let's even go so far as to say abortion after life, like after they have a heartbeat, right? Like, they have a heartbeat. They're a living thing. They're alive. It's not your body anymore. It's theirs. You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy to me that if someone gets shot while they're pregnant, it's a double homicide. But if they abort them, it's not murder. How? How does that make any sense? And it's
as if the intent for that child is what gives it life or not life.
Right. What? It's insane.
It's like, so if I kill a dog and I say that was, or yeah, I think there's also some level of,
you don't get to decide whether it's life or whether the life is valuable or not.
Yeah. It's like the choice of it. So, I mean, for me, I'm not of the, and there are some women who have like multiple abortions and whatnot. It's like, and again, I'm not a woman, so I don't, but I can firmly say, like, if you are going to abort your kid, don't do it. Let me and my wife raise that kid.
Literally.
And there are hundreds of thousands, my guess would be, I'm making up that number, but I know plenty of parents who can't conceive and want that and would do that. And right now, like, the system is against people even wanting to adopt those babies. By the way, there's a lot of stats and whatnot. I don't have them up to date here or in front of me, but the amount of women who decide to have the kid instead of to abort, and they're going to like adopt it away, they end up wanting to keep that kid. That's why there's laws in place that actually protect that mom, because they know that people know, it's like, as soon as you have the kid, it's like, wow, it's real. I can see it and feel
there's
it.
an emotional connection there that is just insane. It's totally different than when it's insane. And here's the thing. I want to be very, very clear. And I think you've been clear on this as well. I understand that the perspective that a man has will never, ever, 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 ever be the perspective that a woman has on this. I understand that. But perspective, feelings on the matter do not change the facts. Where my stance on abortion is pretty irrelevant, but like, personally, once again, is different than legally. Like, I support the ability for a woman to have an abortion in the case of rape, in the case of incest, and before a heartbeat. I don't agree with it, but if somebody were to if I were the president of the United States and a bill were to come across my desk that says, hey, listen, Josh, would you be okay with all abortions are illegal after a heartbeat, but beforehand, they're legal? I would sign that from a political perspective, because listen, I understand that things happen, and I understand that not everybody has the same morals and things that I do. However, once there is a heartbeat, and I believe that life starts at conception, not at heartbeat, just to be clear, my personal beliefs, but it's different than my political beliefs. But once there is a heartbeat, once there is an actual living human being inside of you, it doesn't matter if they can't live on its own, right? The baby can't live on its own if you're not taking care of it once it's out of the womb, okay? Like, you got to take care of it. I understand that. And we all should. Once that baby is living, all of a sudden it is a live thing. And the second that you say, oh, it's my body, it's not your body. It is literally another body inside of you. It is no longer yours. You give up your right to say it's my body, my choice, because it is no longer your body, your choice. It is your body and their body. And if you want to get rid of the child once they're born, that's your choice. You can be a piece of crap human being, a horrible scum that wants to get rid of their child. That's fine. That's your choice. But to kill them is not your choice. And just gets me so upset. So
the reason I bring that up specifically is I think that from that perspective, and let's get even more down the line here, that if you're going to support one type of life, you have to support all types of life, right? And I believe personally, every living person has value. Every person has, I guess, a right to life. I don't believe that anyone deserves to die necessarily. I know that's really tough.
Yeah.
I think people make horrible, horrible mistakes. I think people hurt other people, and that's a horrible thing for them to do. And they should be liable for the consequences of those actions. And I think, but I also see that there is such thing as a second chance. So I was actually a filmmaker before I was really even a marketer. I have a film called Church of Felons, and it's about really severe addiction in Western Wisconsin.
Wait, are you from Wisconsin?
So here, I'll give you some secret. I tell people I'm from Minneapolis because like people don't even know where Wisconsin is, but I am from Wisconsin. Yeah.
I was born in Wisconsin, dude. That's
Where
crazy. I was born in Madison. And I
Okay, I'm on the
have
far west side. So
Okay.
yeah,
I have
yeah,
family still in Madison. And up until like, I think it was last year, I had family in Milwaukee as well.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
So actually, on that note, we did one of our premieres for the film in Madison at like some
That's
of the
crazy.
film festivals. But yeah, I'm right over the border. So I tell people Minnesota because it sounds cooler. People know where Minnesota is, but no one knows where Scott. Anyway, so it's like, just paint the picture that'll help people understand.
Right.
Let's just
All
make
right.
it
All right. That's
like
fun.
my last name. I don't even say my last name is Mederich. No one can pronounce it, so I just say, "Hey, my name's Jordo. Just call me Jordo." It's like,
Jordo.
give them the picture that they want to whatever.
Mederich.
Mederich. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Croatian.
I think I said Mederich. So
You actually
Mederich.
didn't say anything.
Oh, that's right. I did it beforehand to myself. I was like, how am I going to pronounce? So funny. I'm terrible with names. Like I'll remember your first name, but I am terrible with the pronunciation of names. So before I get on podcasts, I like practice trying to pronounce people's
I
names.
just go by Jordo now. It's just
okay. So
it's
Jordan.
just easier for everybody. Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I don't even say Jordan is because they misspell Jordan. I'm like, who misspells Jordan? Michael Jordan. Like, do you guys? Anyway, that's another thing I've got a firm opinion on. But yeah. So anyway, but this film is on Amazon Prime, and we got seen by hundreds of thousands of people. But it was this concept of like one of the stories in the film. This guy was drinking and driving, and he was in a car accident that killed a motorcyclist, right? And because of that, completely turned his life around, right? And now has devoted his entire life to making substantial change. He was fined hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's in jail for a while as well, and like massive ripple effects that come from that. There are consequences to actions, and those actions need to be paid for. I'm not going to defend him and say he doesn't need to be in jail for that, or he doesn't need to pay for that or whatever. But it's also like, I don't think he needs to be put to death because he was doing, right? It's like, so if I want to value all life, period, which in my opinion as well, a fetus, I think it's a bad word. It's a baby. There's a baby inside of you. It has value. It has a future. There are people who want that. And in the same way that people who are in jail for causing really horrific crimes, I really believe that a lot of them could turn their lives around. I think that there are some people that are completely lost causes. I think like the far radical side of even like of Islam, where they, really do intend to harm people. They need to be stopped, and almost at any cost, right? It's like this concept of defending life by taking life is sometimes tough for us to grapple with as a country. I'm 100% okay with our government defending our homeland from people who are going to come here to try to harm more people by extricating life from that person. For that, I'm kind of like, look, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I'm not going to tell you can't do it when you are defending life. So it's like,
right.
I think there's just recently,
and there's a big gray area there.
Yeah,
anyone would know. That's so difficult. And as a general rule, I think you and I are probably in very close alignment on stay out of war if at all possible. Stay away from violence. Use death as an absolute last resort, right? If someone breaks into my home, believe me, I am well armed and I am a huge defender of the Second Amendment. But my goal is not to shoot to kill. My goal is to shoot to stop, right? And unfortunately, sometimes that means you must kill, right? And that's a terrible, horrible thing. But there's a fundamental difference with somebody strapping a bomb to their chest and saying, I'm going to blow up a mall or fly a plane. Well, I shouldn't use that example because that's a bad example. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like actual terrorist
anyone who has an intent, right? It's like we're back to that concept of intent. Of
actual intent to kill or harm is fundamentally different than, there's a baby in my womb and I don't want it. Like,
it's such a tough discussion. It's like we're two white dudes talking about.
Yeah, I know. Like, we're two white dudes have successful companies where our white privilege is showing big time here, Jordan.
We are exceptionally blessed. I've got a beautiful wife who is able to conceive. We can have kids. And yes, on like end of the day, I'm saying is that if we are going to form an opinion about any of this, we need to be able to put our money, our physical money, and our physical actions to our mouth and defend it to that level. So I'm saying, personally,
go ahead.
Finish. Personally, for me, I'm going to say, don't kill people. That includes babies. If you have an intent to kill a baby, please give me that baby and I will raise it and You can say you can have the life that you wanted because you weren't ready or whatever, any of that stuff.
You better be careful. You might get like 500
thousands.
people messaging you saying, hey, I want my.
Great. And then maybe we can reform the adoption
There you go.
space.
And this is why entrepreneurs are going to change the world, because when we're faced with a problem, we don't go, it's a problem. We go, where's the solution? Let's make it
like I've always said, entrepreneurs change the world and the government regulates it, right? And they're crushed by lobbyists and people who are trying to make that stuff happen. But it's like, I have a Tesla right now, literally because Elon Musk, he's like my spirit animal. It's like, he is changing the world so much. I want to do anything to align myself with him and that vibe. And entrepreneurs are the only ones changing the world. The government is doing almost nothing. They are just signing things to say, okay, this is what our general opinion is of things. Private citizens are really not making, I'll go as far as to say this. Private citizens do not make a mass difference. A private citizen that makes a mass difference is actually an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs make differences.
All right, guys. So you can yell at him for that in the comment section there. I actually would tend to agree with you. I'm sure there's exceptions there. One quick note I want to mention, then I want to move on to our the topic here. For those of you that are pro-abortion, for those of you that are screaming through your computer screen right now and want to just yell and scream at me to my face, and Jordan, I'm sure as well, I'm open to having a discussion. I'm open to having my mind changed, but I've never been changed, just FYI. And I'm actually, if you can convince me with facts and logic, and you can actually present to me why there is a moral reason why having an abortion is okay, and a logical reason why that is justified, I'd love to have you on the show. Contact at thinkdifferenttheory.com. Send us an email, give us your reason, and we'll have you on if you have a good logical reason why we should have you on. So I'm open to having the discussion. You're probably not going to convince me, but I'm open to having the conversation. Okay, next question. Okay, I just want to throw that out there because I don't want to be closed-minded, like we said earlier.
I love it. And I hope everyone takes the intent of our purpose here, that like, we're putting a huge target on our chest by giving our side. And
we're not saying that if you have an abortion that you're evil and that are going to hell for the rest, like you can turn your life around, right? We disagree with it. We think it's morally wrong, but like, guess what? We do. I do. I know I'm not going to speak for you, but I do things that are morally wrong as well. And I need to, that's why we have a savior. Okay.
We're all broken. We're all,
Tesla. Dude.
Oh, baby. Oh,
tell me about it, dude.
Sweet baby Elon. I just want to hold him.
Every time I get in a Tesla, I just ask myself the question of, why do I not have one of these?
No one should not have a Tesla.
That's
Everyone on Earth should be driving Teslas right now.
It's next level.
It's a computer with wheels. It literally, I got an X. I literally have to, the computer has to boot up. There's no buttons at all. There's a screen with software that updates, and there's a fart machine in it. He calls it emissions. There's a little, there's games you can play in there. There's, it goes from 0 to 60 in like 2.6 seconds. This is next level, achievement of tech that we could not even imagine. And it's another example of, with SpaceX and Solar City and everything Elon Musk does is an example of how I believe anyone can bring a vision that they have to life. Just like I think everyone has value. I think everyone's ideas can be brought to life if they get over their own BS and develop some confidence and actually go out there and be an entrepreneur. The definition is just someone who takes more than normal financial risk to bring an idea to life, right? That's really the definition of this. It's a French word about like swimming out to the ocean, right? About taking that massive risk. It's like, dude, if you get into a Tesla and you experience that firsthand, you realize this literally didn't exist.
It didn't exist. It literally didn't. It wasn't even possible.
Anything you want to do, you can do, and you can beat the government. You can beat regulators. You can beat public opinion. There's an interview with Elon about, because they were going to space, and I think it was Buzz Aldrin or something. It was kind of one of his heroes, right? It's someone who cared about him. Yeah. And he starts to cry because the reviewer or the reporter guy said, Elon, like Buzz Aldrin said, like, there's no way he's going to make this happen. This is not going to work. And Elon's like, that's really hard for me to hear because
I know
broke his heart.
Yeah.
Because of like someone who's his hero, and look at him. They took a rocket and it landed upright on a moving platform in the middle of the ocean. We need to give this guy all of our money.
Okay.
Everyone give Elon your money and our lives will just be better. Period.
It's so funny.
Give him money.
There was the article that I think it was in Forbes, which, man, I don't know. Forbes is a joke. It's becoming more and more of a joke. I posted an article earlier. that said that there's a new study out that says that speaking English causes the spread of coronavirus more than other languages. I am dead. I'm like, you gotta be like,
I can't do it, man.
Like at some point, anyway, I think it was by Forbes, and it came out, and it was like, the government said that to create a reusable, sustainable rocket, I think it was the rocket one, I could be wrong on this, it was going to take 10 years and $12 billion. And Elon Musk did it in 3 years and for $1 billion. And it's like, or maybe it was 4 years, whatever it was, right? It was like less than half the time with 1/10 of the budget. And I'm like, and if that is not proof that the government is completely, totally, and utterly inept, like they totally inadequate. They're totally, they can't do it.
Incapable.
Right? Yeah. In every way, shape, or form. I don't know what does, right? Because that's like, that's the private sector for you. And it's so like, I don't know how anybody can support the government getting involved in anything. It's like, I hear, and I don't want to go down this route yet. Maybe we can loop back to this. I want to stay on this topic of entrepreneurship. But when I see people that are like, how dare you don't want to help poor people? How dare you don't want, to give people, put people on food stamps or do that? I'm like, I actually support a lot of what the Democrats want to do. I just think the government is the absolute worst possible vehicle for doing that, because it's literally 10 times the cost and literally 10 times the amount of time to accomplish the exact same result. And it's not even as good of a result.
Yeah. It's like, we have to pay people to manage. You're right. Maybe we can come back to it, but we have to pay people in the public sector to manage those funds that go down. We're less effective with every dollar that we give them to manage.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And if we were to just give it, and they'd be like, well, if we don't tax it, then we won't give it. It's like, try me.
Right.
Try me. See what happens.
That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying. Like, hey, tell me how much I have to give, and I'll give it. But let me decide. Okay, entrepreneurship.
Anyway, back to it.
So you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. How old are you?
33. Just turned 33.
And how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Boy, it's been a roller coaster. Maybe 8 or 9 years. I mean, it started as a entrepreneur, making it up, and then just figuring it out. So, it's been a while.
What's I guess let's start with current and let's move backwards. What do you do now? Give people the 5-second rundown, because I know you're a competitor. Listen, Jordan, I love you, dude.
Let's bring it, but let's bring it.
Listen, Brand, I love you a lot. We've had a really good conversation, but here's the thing: you're never gonna get me from Clickfunnels. So I want to hear what you're doing though, because listen,
this is gonna be good.
Everyone tune in. Everybody tune in. What are you doing?
Okay, so I'm the founder of Dropfunnels, and I've been building businesses for quite a while, and I've always built on WordPress. WordPress powers 34% of the internet, insanely fast pages, which is critical for ranking and for high value search, but also traffic costs and whatnot. Your traffic costs are the cheapest on a WordPress based platform, but it's always been very technical. It's always been and actually the first I've got
so technical.
Kind of my story. This is what I call my Dropfunnels Fiverr. And so this was the first representation of the first $5 I made online. I was doing video animations, and I sold actually a $10 animation on a WordPress site, and I got $5 commission on it or whatever. So I was giving it to this. And so something flicked in my mind. It was like, holy crap, this digital entrepreneurship, that was my story in short form,
right?
Of how you can take any piece of value, put it on the internet, list it for sale, and people will just buy it. They'll just literally buy it. And I was always doing organic. I never did a cent of paid media until about maybe a year or two ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm still in that organic space, bro.
Yeah.
I haven't cracked that.
It was all organic, and it was beautiful. And so I was getting ranked in the search engines, and all my offers were totally organic. And then obviously I heard about Clickfunnels. By the way, huge respect for Russell. Everything that he teaches is super gold. From my opinion, he also, it's one of the worst softwares on the planet. From a technical perspective, is actually one of the worst. And there's a lot of data that will show that. So what I found was, wait a second, WordPress works. It gets you free organic leads and sales. It ranks in Google. But to add the sales funnel side, you had to have a sales funnel builder. It loads slow. Dean Graziosi's book funnel loads in about 40 seconds, by the way. Yeah. And by the way, Dan Wilkinson, one of the most foremost experts on page load speed, does really deep dives into how critical your page speed is to ranking and to your conversion rate, but also your traffic cost. Facebook will
really quickly. For those of you that are listening that are more newer to this entrepreneurship space and things, we're talking about WordPress and Dropfunnels and Clickfunnels. These are softwares and programs that you can build websites or funnels. Funnels are a series of web pages designed in a certain way. They're essentially the same thing. They're called a different name because they do something. Dropfunnels is Jordan's company. Clickfunnels is Russell Brunson's company, who I am a huge fanboy of, which is why this discussion is funny and entertaining at the same time. And WordPress is like, I don't want to call it the OG because technically there were the OGs, but they're the OG the big wigs of the internet space when it comes to building websites. Whenever most websites that you see, if you hear WordPress, it's like the old technical OG thing of it all. So continue. But I just wanted to give some context for though we're talking about softwares and things of that nature. That's where we're going back and forth with.
Yeah. So sales funnels in general, if you're selling a course, you're getting leads for your business, you're doing any of those things, you don't want to send them to a website. A website is kind of like a hose with lots of holes in it, right? And so you put people in and they just go everywhere. A funnel is where it's streamlined and they end at one point. So that's really the focus, is like you give them one thing to do on every single step. And there are softwares that help to make that better. So I use ClickFunnels for years, membership courses, funnels, all of that stuff. And then I started to look into the data, especially when we started running paid advertising. I found, wait a second, almost none of my funnels are actually ranking. Why is that? I started to look into why does WordPress rank sometimes in a day or two, whereas ClickFunnels almost never ranked. I started looking into the page speed issue. Why is it that I was mentioning Dan Wilkinson, one of the foremost experts on page speed, found that if your pages load any more than 3, maybe 4 seconds, you're losing 50% of your conversion period, 50%. And anything above that, you'll often lose, Amazon found that for every 100 milliseconds of latency, they would lose up to a 7% conversion. 100 milliseconds.
Yeah, I heard that Amazon said if Amazon were to load on average 1 second slower on their website across the board, it would attribute to like $1 billion a day in revenue or something like that. Like that they would lose. It's something stupid.
Yeah. So we've got WordPress, which solves all of those issues, but it's very technical. ClickFunnels came along and you could suddenly build these, drag and drop. It was really simple.
And it was
processing, all of that.
It is.
And it came out 5 or 6 years ago. And at the time it was revolutionary.
Really
completely revolutionary. You didn't have to have a tech team. But then I realized right here in the center is this gap of opportunity where no one is serving it. There's like Thrive cart and cart flows, but you're still adding plugins and themes and all these things. And you still need developers and you still need a lot of tech. So I was like, hang on a second, let me try something. So I went out and I hired a full-time dev team of about 5 people. And we started building ClickFunnels on WordPress effectively. So we started saying, how can we build sales funnels, membership sites, blogs, actual websites that can rank on WordPress, but with 0 code. So every day we started taking code out. So now Dropfunnels is the world's first and only way to create unlimited membership sites, funnels, your actual website, blog posts, and actually rank those sales funnels in Google to get free organic leads and sales, cut your traffic cost down. Usually we see between 20 and 30%. Your cost per lead will decrease. So I'm making you more money that way. Plus we're half the price of the base plan of ClickFunnels. In every way, here's my big, hairy, audacious promise. Anyone who's using Dropfunnels or moving from Kajabi, Kartra, ClickFunnels, any of them, you will make more money end of the day, guaranteed, on Dropfunnels than any other platform, period.
If you run the same traffic, same, like if it's everything's the same except one's one place and one's the other, you're going to make more. That's your promise.
In fact, we have a one-click ClickFunnels import. So this took me three months to develop. You can import your URL. It'll copy it into Dropfunnels, run a speed test back and forth, and you're going to cut your time in half and literally start sending traffic. Go ahead and split it. You're going to find your cost per lead goes down, your cost per acquisition goes down, your rankings go up. And look, it's not ClickFunnels' fault. I don't know if they ever thought that they would be this big. Right?
Well, it's interesting. I'd love to just have you and Russell on the show at the same time and just moderate a debate. I think it'd be so funny. Actually, I think probably more Todd Dickerson would be good, you and Todd. But okay, so I do have a question for you though.
Yep.
Because I want to know how this, and this is me, confirmation bias all the way. Like I see your ads, I see Groove people, all my friends hopping on the Groove train, the Dropfunnels train, whatever. I'm like, you're dead to me, right? Like, no offense. I mean, I love you, dude. And
I get it.
I hope you have success. Russell's my boy. All right.
So here's the thing about that too. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I want to finish the thought here. Okay. Is it a plugin to WordPress? Is it built on WordPress with your software? Oh, like how does that work? Because like WordPress is its own freestanding platform, and so is Clickfunnels. So like how is that working with, how does it connect with WordPress?
Yep. It's a common question we get. So it's an all-in-one. So you sign up, and old school WordPress, you'd have to get servers and domains and cPanels and everything and all this tech hooked up. In 30 seconds, you have an account that has everything dialed in. No code, no tech, nothing. So you don't add this to an existing WordPress. Where your hosting is included, your order confirmation emails, your checkout forms, your funnels, your memberships, everything is all in one.
So it's not, you're not actually building, as the saying, like Clickfunnels or sales funnels on WordPress. You are building sales funnels on a platform that has the same assets or benefits as the WordPress does, right?
So here's the comparison. So Clickfunnels is built on a framework, as far as I'm aware. It's called Ruby on Rails. Okay. Ruby on Rails is the name of the framework. Okay. We're built on the WordPress framework, which just happens to be the most popular framework on the planet, right?
Okay.
And so because of that, we have all the plugins loaded in. We've got all the, we're doing what WordPress has never done. No one has ever built completely drag and drop funnels and everything into WordPress.
Into a WordPress.
Right. So now
the core.
Yeah. So they're built on Ruby on Rails. We're built on WordPress.
Got it.
The thing about WordPress is because it's got hundreds of thousands of developers working on the core of WordPress. We're not like a Groove funnels or whatever, which we could get into that. And I'll tell you why I don't see that ClickFunnels is clearly crushing. Anyone moving to Groove, don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's just a joke.
But it's not, it's a total joke. Yeah. It's not a SaaS platform. It's a WordPress infrastructure that on top of it, we've built everything you need for sales funnels, memberships, blogs, sites.
But none of what you're not building on something that's owned by WordPress, meaning WordPress doesn't own any part of what you're doing, right? Okay.
WordPress is open source. Yeah.
So now I want to go marketing angles with you, because now I want to talk as marketers here for a second.
Love it.
I'm a fan of Russell, right? I study his stuff. I go to his events. I'm friends with him, and I have read a lot of the stuff that he talks about and how he built ClickFunnels. The comparison a lot of times of what we talk about is in category kings, right? The category king of things. And so you have Apple, which essentially came in, they threw rocks at Microsoft, and then eventually they surpassed, and then they basically were like, okay, you're irrelevant. Now we're going to go do our own thing. And they kind of stopped that. And I understand that's probably what you're trying to do with them. But there's a category king, and then there's everybody else. Russell and ClickFunnels seem to be the category king of sales funnels. Are you creating your own market? Are you trying to dethrone them? What are you doing that is fundamentally different? Like, to me, it just seems like, and once again, I'm not your ideal customer, right? Like, I'm a diehard ClickFunnels fan. So yeah, I might fit your, the demographic of, marketer, this person, but you have to be massive before I make a switch, right? Because I'm not your person, right? But from an outside looking in, I'm like, you're offering me a better funnel. You're not offering me anything fundamentally different, right? I understand there's the WordPress side of it. Where's your market? Are you trying to dethrone ClickFunnels? Or are you trying to become a category king in your own market? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So a couple things there. First of all, you'd be shocked to know that Russell Brunson isn't even using ClickFunnels.
I'm not going to make a comment on that.
Oh, okay. Well, go to marketingsecrets.com. What's it built on?
I don't know.
WordPress. Funnel Hubs. What are they built on? WordPress. They have ClickFunnels as the consumer tool, and then they have what they're really teaching. It's in his books that I've got this interesting screenshot where he says, building on WordPress is the way to rank, and then you link to your funnels. In our case, we eliminated that need where you have it all built into one. So we've actually had I got to be careful in terms of who I out, but a lot of the people who have been edified in the ClickFunnels marketplace are now on Dropfunnels. And I see their accounts. A lot of these names, anyone would be like, holy crap, I can't believe they're on Dropfunnels. I probably shouldn't, just for the sake of this, but we'll put up all their logos on the front page. People would be shocked to find how many people are learning. Here's my voice. Learn from Russell, but build on WordPress, and Dropfunnels is the easiest way to build on WordPress, period. And if you're building your business on Clickfunnels, the software, not Russell,
right?
He's a brilliant belief builder, and he's so intelligent. He's incredible. So here's my thing, Josh. You are a Russell Brunson fan. You're not a Clickfunnels fan.
Yep. But
oh, wait, you just said yes.
Yes.
Because
yes,
it does not serve your business. The tool itself, if Russell wasn't connected to it, you would not use it. No one else would. It would be another.
Okay, but let's go back. But here's the thing. The fact of the matter is, and I love this conversation. The fact of the matter is that it is tied to him, right? And it like that's like you can't separate the two because that is part of what makes ClickFunnels, right? Just like so. I don't know. Once again, I haven't looked into your stuff enough. I just see your ads. I would assume that you're tying your face. You're the attractive character of Dropfunnels. Is that accurate?
Just for lack of anyone else doing it. Just because I'm most passionate
for now.
Yeah.
So will you build as Dropfunnels grows? Do you plan to remove yourself as the attractive character and go more less initial front facing you, like get other people involved in it?
So there's already quite a few people, like for example, like Brian Page, for example, B&B Formula, right? He's moved into Dropfunnels as well. Mike Dillard, for example, is an active, very vocal proponent of it. So we try to like have our people who are using it be the hero, right? We want them to win.
So,
so I'm not trying to do.
You're not trying to be the Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels.
No. So ClickFunnels is an education company with the software attached. Really, it's what that is. Whereas, for us,
so many
we're
thoughts. Okay.
But here's the thing. And this is what most people, by the way, it's like, when Russell brought Todd to the table, right? And so, by the way, like there's lots of other competitors. We're competing
one of many.
Kartra, Kajabi, Groove.
I'll give you credit where credit is due. If I were to say, what's the number, like who's the next person down? Like who's the most successful competitor of ClickFunnels? The first one that pops in my head is Dropfunnels. I'll give you that. Okay. So where we're at.
So you're at the top you're at the top of our funnel. We'll get
well done. Eventually. Well done. And maybe you will, but it's going to be, Russell will have to mess up. I'm telling you what, man. But here, okay. But
wait, you just said Russell. You didn't say ClickFunnels.
Right. Because they're hand in hand. They are. Here. Okay. I'll tell you what. Russell sells ClickFunnels.
Is tied.
You're 100% right. It's not logical. It's not.
The Kool-Aid is deep in your system.
100%. And here's the deal. Look at this. I got all his books, every one of them on the desk, every single one. I've got the box sets. I've got his copywriters.
But again, John, here we go. What part of those books require you to use ClickFunnels?
Not one of them. Not one. It's an obligation, man. I tell you what, Russell changed my life. Therefore, he tells me to buy ClickFunnels. Russell could tell me to go, I don't know. But,
so we see.
Oh, I understand. Right? I understand. But here's the deal.
So that's what we're fighting, by the way. That is our biggest thing.
Exactly. It is what you're fighting, which is why I want to talk about it. Because what I don't get is how, and keep in mind, dude, I have massive amounts of respect for what you're trying to do. All right. I'm like, to me, and this is what it seems like. To me, it's like you're starting a clothing company and trying to take on Nike. I mean, obviously it's not that big. It's not, that thing. But what I don't get is I'm like, what's the plan? How are you doing it? Because to me, it just seems like, Russell's talked about this. Oh, this person's going to be the next ClickFunnels killer. This person. And he's like, I just ignore them all because it's like, we're the category king. They're irrelevant. Right. And I'm like, in order to dethrone, if you will, ClickFunnels, you can't really attack them. And I'll tell you, when I listen to your ads and stuff like that, I hear a lot of similar lingo that ClickFunnels used at the beginning. So, and maybe it works well for you. That's great. But what I don't get is, are you trying to dethrone ClickFunnels or are you trying to create your own market? And
great question. And I want to totally address that. Yeah. So first of all, a lot of the ads are written by the ad team, right? We have an ad team.
Right.
So I'm like,
I know it's not you, right?
Right? So, I know. Like I'll shoot videos if they want it, but I'm kind of just like, doing our thing. So we have I would be supremely disappointed because I've seen this happen time and time again. When you have a specific goal to just beat somebody and you win, how disappointing it really feels. Right?
Then once you beat them, then you fall apart because then you have no goal. Yeah.
Right. It was like when I wanted to make like make more than my parents or whatever. And that happened. I was like depressed. Like, wait a second, I'm not any better. I'm no different. And then you have to always have new goals. So no, our goal is not to dethrone ClickFunnels. I have zero. I want everyone to know I have zero against Russell Brunson, freaking king of the market. There's no doubt about it in my mind at all.
Is.
His education is bar none some of the best. Period. That's just a fact. Now, because I was in there, man. I actually last year I had we don't need to talk about it, but
yeah,
I don't want the ClickFunnels user base. Actually, you said it once. I saw it in a video. You're like, don't sell to ClickFunnels users. We suck. That was exactly what you said.
That's 100% right.
We're
awful.
Yeah.
Let Russell sell to them.
I know. Yeah. So I do not want the ClickFunnels user base necessarily, because it's a lot of like, it was an MLM. It was a multi-level marketing software platform, and Groove is kind of copying them, right? And so that's why they're going that way.
I do want to push back on that a little bit.
Wait, let me finish. All
right. Go ahead.
So in the affiliate space, right? So when people didn't have a business, they were, really pushing the affiliate program.
Right.
And so we've learned from that. We're completely disconnected. We have an affiliate program, but we're completely disconnected from that. It's not multi-tier. You don't earn by recruiting people to sell the same product, which is 2 levels is multi-level, right? But there's a lot of like affiliate stealing and that kind of stuff, and a lot of kind of newbies in the market. We are not going for newbies.
There's a lot of drama there for sure.
A lot of differentiators, right? So we're going for a higher caliber client that has an existing business, has an existing funnel, has existing courses, and we help them to decrease their ad spend, increase conversions, increase ranking in Google almost instantly. If you run a side-by-side comparison in every single metric, Dropfunnels versus ClickFunnels wins, period. I could stake my name on it. I could come on here and take anyone's funnel and run it side-by-side.
But it
wins 100% of the time.
But I want to go back to the original question of like, so you're not trying to dethrone ClickFunnels. What category are you trying to create? Because like in a side-by-side comparison, Android beats iPhone in a lot of ways in a side-by-side comparison, right? 0 chance I ever leave iPhone.
I'm an Android guy. I'm a PC guy.
Well, you're just weird, right? Like, who does that, right? But here's the thing. In a side-by-side comparison, Android beats iPhone in a lot of ways. But the culture, identity, and the lot of non-logical things around iPhone is why people buy iPhone. And it's why we pay, I pay like $1,200 for this stupid thing, right? So what are you Android or iPhone? I'm iPhone. iPhone all day long. A Mac, iPhone, Apple. Apple is the only company, and I know people are like, oh, horse. Apple's the only company I've never, ever, ever been disappointed in buying one of their products. I just bought a brand new $4,500 MacBook Pro, tricked it all out, came in. It's like the most beautiful piece of machinery I've ever used. Like, you can't get me off of it. And it's not necessarily because Windows couldn't do the same thing or a better job or whatever. It's like, I'm just never leaving Apple, right? And it's like the same thing with ClickFunnels. It's tied to a person. So if Russell were to sell and leave the company, would I probably leave? That's how you'll get me. Russell sells the company and leaves ClickFunnels, maybe I'll come, okay? But what I'm trying to understand is Russell's pitch at the beginning of ClickFunnels, which is different now when they started, was basically, hey, listen, you can cancel everything else. It's this all-in-one platform where you can achieve this thing, right? Some of the ads, I know it's not the ads that you're not responsible for copy. Some of your ads say very similar things than that. I don't care what one ad says. I want to know from you, where's the direction that you're going? What's the goal? Is it to be the all-in-one best funnel building platform? Is it to be the all-in-one, what is it? Because to me, it seemed all-in-one best funnel building platform was a ClickFunnels pitch. Is that your pitch? Is it a better ClickFunnels? Is it a fundamentally different thing than ClickFunnels? What is it that you're trying to, where are you going with it? Yeah.
So I'd say the best comparison is that we are the Tesla in a car market.
Okay.
We don't need to reinvent the market or the niche. There are people who are unsatisfied with the status quo, with what exists, right?
Okay.
And so we are, in that same sense, we are the Apple in an Android market.
And ClickFunnels in this case would be the Android market. The Android of the phone market.
The market leader, right?
Yeah, the market leader of the, okay. All right.
So there is significant competitive advantage to being first to market, right? But then from that, there's a lot of other SaaS platforms that have popped up. I'll beat them all day. like, and it's not an opinion, every data, every piece of metric, at the end of the day, it depends on what you care about. Do you want to equate, your connection to ClickFunnels with Russell, or do you want to make more money? Because period, every metric, every test, every split across the board, staking my name on it, every time Dropfunnels wins, you will make more money on Dropfunnels. Use Russell's. I'm not an education guy, right? I'm not doing courses. I'm not really doing events. I'm not doing any of that. I'm saying if you move from, well, I have to preface that because we are not going to be like all things to all men, right? We're not going to be an affiliate platform. You can add that on top. We're not an autoresponder. They've actually, ClickFunnels came out and said, we wish we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's the one complaint I have. That's the one thing that I will say about ClickFunnels.
Right.
And delusional Josh over here still works with it, right? And we do, but
so we're starting to break you down a little bit.
You are not
delineating because
I'm open about it. I'm open about it. I'm open.
You can still go to FHL. You can still buy the books. You can still go to the courses. You can do all that. But you could be on Kartra if that's what you want. You could be on Kajabi if you wanted. You could be on Dropfunnels. You could be on anything and still learn from that. So it's like that separation is the same thing as saying, but for me, I'll be on your side on this sense that I love Elon so much that I bought the car because I was so excited about what he's doing. Right.
I bought the flamethrower because he said it was cool.
Yeah.
You want the car because he said it. Yeah. Right.
It's the belief. It's the synapses we're connecting ClickFunnels to Russell Brunson, Elon Musk to Tesla, any other charismatic, Steve Jobs to Apple, right?
Right.
If you separate those two things out, I can be a Steve Jobs fan and still use Android.
Right? So you're saying, and Russell, I know you're probably listening. I love you, dude. I love him too. I'm an interviewer first here, right? I'm a podcaster here, right? As I got to ask these questions because I'm going to have Russell on. Russell agreed to a multiple hour interview to talk Atlas Shrugged, which will be super fun because we had him talking about his new book, Traffic Secrets, and he's coming back on. And I finally convinced him to come back on just to talk something besides funnels. I was like, dude, we got to come on. He's like, all right, Atlas Shrugged. Anyway, you're essentially saying, from what it sounds like, hey, listen, Russell has the belief, the visionary thing of a Elon Musk, of a Steve Jobs, things like that. The problem is that Apple's products are actually super good. Tesla's products are actually super good, but ClickFunnels ain't that good of a product.
I don't know who would argue against that. If anyone listening saying, hey, no, that's not true. It's actually a fantastic product. I don't know if you would. Would you say that? Would you say Tesla's great, Apple's great?
I say Tesla's great, Apple's great.
ClickFunnels is the best product, hands down.
But here's the thing: I haven't used anything else.
Exactly. You have no split test. You've never done a split. You're on the losing side of a split test.
And maybe so, but it's making me money, and I love it. And that's where I'm like. And here's the thing, dude. I think. And this is me being, like we're having an open conversation here. You do your business. I'm not telling you how to run your business. I think where it's so fascinating to me is like most businesses it's more important to have the elements of just like diehard fans than it is to have a good, don't get me wrong. I think you need to have a good product. And I think that ClickFunnels is okay. And I've openly admitted this, ClickFunnels isn't the perfect product. By any stretch of the imagination. We know that. I've had my own frustration with them. It's why I pay for their priority support, right? But at the same time, I'm like, ClickFunnels gives me everything that I need. I know exactly what's there. I'm educated on that. And I am so far into the belief that Russell's not going to give me a platform that's not going to serve me. It might not be perfect, but it's going to and I'm so far into the belief of him. And maybe you're just not far enough along that. Maybe I'm not close enough to the action, but I feel like that identity, that delusional support of I will give you money no matter what is lacking in all of ClickFunnels competitors. And you're a competitor of ClickFunnels, so I'm going to loop you, categorize you into that, knowing that I'm, once again, kind of far away from the action. Maybe it's just because you're not, big enough yet. I don't know the reason, but to me, you're competing on, could be wrong, but you're competing on features and benefits and the fact that you have a logical explanation to why your product is better. And I'm the perfect example of why logic doesn't matter when I'm making a buying decision, which is crazy because I'm a logical person, right?
Yeah. So people make decisions based on emotion and justify with logic, right?
100%.
And so that's also partially why our game plan is not to tie in this emotional game. But here's the thing, what you're expressing, what you're describing about yourself is the exact same version of that far, in your particular case, far left person who is so deep rooted in that they will not change no matter how logical. You're like, but here's the logic, here's the facts. You are insane. You have no idea what, like, look at this data, look at the proof. And they're like, no, I will never change. This is what I believe. This is why I believe it.
Russell, you're the leader of the Democratic Party and I'm a Democrat now. Oh no.
But see, again, it's like,
that's a good comparison, by the way, though. I like that. That's funny.
So by the way, we just launched in February, right? So Clickfunnels has been around for like 6 years.
Yeah, 5 or 6
years. First year in business. We're growing extremely fast, but not like Groovefunnels fast, where they're like, hey, we got 100,000 free accounts. Now we have 100,000 users. We did Clickfunnels.
What like, a joke. Come on.
Complete joke. I just like lost all respect for that. I still have tremendous respect for the entire Clickfunnels ecosystem, for Russell, for the whole team and all that.
Just next level smart. Yeah.
But zero respect for that over there, where it's like straight up marketing baloney, right?
It's complete lies. Yeah. 100%.
So I believe in fast up, fast down, slow up, slow down. So we're just on this nice pace, getting tons of legitimate attention from big people in the industry. Again, I can't expose the names of the people who are on the platform.
I mean, I will say this, we're having a conversation about it. And I mean, I'm not huge, but like I'm homies with Russell, right? I'm homies with all the people over there at Clickfunnels, and we're sitting here having a conversation about it. So you're doing something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we've been on with Spencer Meekum and quite a few other people in the space. And again, that's one of the biggest things that I find. And by the way, initially it annoyed me, but it was like, I've had multiple conversations with people saying, no, I can't switch because I'm trying to get a 2 Comma Club award. I'm like, wait a second. You are willing to look at the data and objectively say, I am willing to forego this to get this award because you're identified or you're trying to speak on the stage or whatever. Russell is a master belief builder in that sense, that he says that if you're on Clickfunnels, you'll make $1 million, where it's only happened for like 0.07% of the users or whatever.
Well, it's so funny because I've made $1 million not using Clickfunnels, but using what Clickfunnels has taught, as you have said, right? Sure. And most of my, like, I would say like 80% of my transactions are collected through PayPal, right? I mean, most of my clients are $10,000 to $25,000 a pop, right? I'm not running that through hey, go to my landing page and swipe your credit card. You know what I mean? I'm like, just send me some money.
Yeah,
right?
No one's doing that. I mean, there was a guy who sold $1 million house and he got the 2 Comma Club award and he went bankrupt the next month.
It's stupid, right? And so
I also have another friend, by the way, who got the bigger award, the $10 million, literally was not through a funnel because I was in that business. I know everything about it, had nothing to do with Clickfunnels at all.
And that's
period. Didn't use the software and went backstage and said, hey, here's my thing. I got $10 million. They're like, all right, great. I'll get on the stage.
So here's your deal. And I want to be very clear on this. Like, I don't hold Russell or Clickfunnels responsible for the craziness that people go into awards. I think that they need to be aware of it. I think that I do believe they're doing a better job now. But like, they need to do a much better job of making sure that they're ethical and correct. But you should not be using Clickfunnels just so that you can get an award, because I, as we can clearly see during this conversation, am the biggest Clickfunnels fan, right? Like, I am a diehard, right? Like, for sure. But I haven't even sent in my thing for the 2 Comma Club award yet, because I'm like, it's pretty, like, guys, like, if that's what you're doing this marketing thing for, you're just stupid, right? Like, I've made $1 million, but like, be ethical. It wasn't through Clickfunnels, so I didn't submit it on there, right? And it was, it was through PayPal or through whatever. And so I do think that there's a negative side to it as well, right? And there's a negative side, and you're probably going to avoid a lot of the drama that goes with that. I don't hold Russell or the leaders of Clickfunnels personally responsible for how people manipulate it, just like I wouldn't hold you responsible for it. I do hold people like Groovefunnels responsible for the stupidity that what they're claiming, because that's just downright stupid. But I forget where we were going with that conversation. But yeah. So I understand what you're saying.
And again, like, it spiraled out of control. It's humongous. He's a master belief builder in that regard. So for us, we have zero desire to say like, hey, everyone, just get an account and you're going to make $1 million. We're not making those we're not doing any one funnel away stuff. We're not doing any of that. We're saying point blank, for anyone who cares about your business making money, this is the platform to build on. That's it. Not about education, not about funnel flicks, not about like all the stuff that Karcher's doing on their side or Groovefunnels on their side or any of that. We're saying point blank, and like we get messages every day because there's a learning curve with Dropfunnels. With, you know, we've really simplified WordPress. There's going to be a learning curve. I just got one from this guy who's a pretty huge, big time marketer. He's like, I just decided I'm going to go in and learn it. I need to learn it. And now I did. And let me give you the exact quote.
Yeah.
Because I think it was actually, I won't share.
No, that's fine. I'd be curious to know the quote.
His name or whatever, but hang on, it's right in the.
Oh no, you're good.
Facebook group here. But yeah, essentially he was saying that it just made such a difference to him. He said, I just forced myself to learn the platform, which took some work and a couple late nights, but I love it now. It's leaps and bounds better than anything else I've ever used. And I've fallen completely in love with Dropfunnels. I'm going to get a second account for my personal brand stuff. Thank you for following up. So it's an example of every time someone comes in and they learn it, they realize it's like, I broke free. Dude, I had to have that my own moment. I was deep in the Clickfunnels affiliate culture at one point.
I remember. Like I didn't know you at the time, but I know lots of people have told me that about you. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously like that, it was a phase. Just like we've been talking about, everyone learns, everyone grows, everyone changes. That was a phase of my life. And once I got out, I was like, holy crap, I was blinded. I was drowning in the sea of naivete that's the way to make money online, where I realized, wait a second, for my entire past, I've been building on WordPress and doing things with legitimacy and doing things by the way, top marketers are not using sales funnel builders. Nike, Amazon.
Oh, right.
It's like big brands are not using sales funnel builders. They're building on WordPress. Tony Robbins, Neil Patel, Brian Dean. He's like, none of them are on sales funnel builders.
So do you think that your pitch enough of, because essentially what I'm hearing from you, a very simplified version of your pitch is, yo, listen, if you're a serious marketer, you look at the data and we beat everybody else on data hands down every day of the week. Right. Do you think that there is enough there to build a legitimate business? And by legitimate, I mean like an actual behemoth of 100 million plus business, let's call it, right? Let's just call it the benchmark. And a real company that investors and you could go public with, whatever. Is there enough there to build without adding the education piece to it, without adding some, like strictly based off of, we are literally better based on data alone, based on logic, based on the actual facts? Is there enough there to build a legitimate company with it? Or do other elements have to come into play before you get there?
So, I mean, again, we don't share how many users we have, but we're already pretty big in our first year. Mm-hmm. But it's the exact same logic. So our audience is the digital marketer audience. It's not the Clickfunnels audience.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Digital marketer people, they're like, what is the best tool that gives us the best results for our particular business? I just switched from SendGrid to Sendinblue, for example, and our metrics are improving. Our deliverability and our open rates are improving.
It's good to know.
I'm like, okay, so I should go to Sendinblue. I don't care about who the leader is or the CEO. Facebook ads, we got shut down just like everyone else does, right? I moved to YouTube for some stuff, and all of our numbers stayed about the same, sometimes better, sometimes worse, depends. I don't care if it's Mark or how much I love Mark or whatever. It's data-driven decisions instead of emotive-based decisions. So for us, while I actually have no desire to be as big as Clickfunnels is, not in any short amount of time, right? Because I don't want to pretend like beating Clickfunnels is the benchmark, or like, what is it? It's I think Kajabi did like 250 million last year. They're not doing more than Clickfunnels, but that's a massively sellable and legitimate business model, right?
Right.
So, and when you get that big, you have all the problems that come with it. So we're really intended for marketers who care about numbers and results. But there is some belief aspect of that. You have to believe that what I'm telling you is true.
Right.
And if
And
you
I
don't
think,
believe me, you won't change, you know?
and I think that's where so that's why, like, Russell led, I mean, this is essentially Russell's business model. And I mean, he's been pretty open about it. Hey, listen, we got this product. How the frick do we sell it? Right. And it was cool. Create the belief, tell the stories, future-based cause, you know, it's expert secrets, right? I mean, he lays it out in the blueprint, right? Like, where are we going? How do we self-identify? Who are we going to throw rocks at? How we, like, that was his whole process of going. And so it was an incredibly belief, educational based selling of a software company. And I think they very much, whenever you say, what kind of type of company are you? They're like, no, we are a software company first, even though, what, like you said, oh, they're really an educational company. And one could argue that they say they're a software company. So like they have this education piece with it. They've created this movement, this loyalty. What I'm saying is right now, your pitch at the beginning, you're a multiple 7-figure company. You just got an offer for multi 7 figures. So you're at least worth that, right? And you're going and you're growing, right? So let's say you get to 8 figures or even, multi 8 figures or whatever it is. You're making $50 million a year with this, right? At that point, is there some point though, where you're going to eat up the market of legitimate, purely Alex Becker, Sam Ovens type of just truly data-driven type of people, and have to start to pull in some of that identity, start of that movement, some of that future-based cause that Russell leads out with? Or can you strictly, and I'm not saying to copy after Russell, I mean, use whatever, he's your competitor, so I don't want to be like, you have to incorporate his stuff, but like those type of elements that large brands typically often involve, is there a point where you have to start incorporating that in? Or do you think you can grow it strictly data-driven?
So I want to refer you to, and maybe take a note of it. You're going to love it specifically.
Okay.
Watch the full version. There's a shortened version of it as well from Charlie Munger called The Psychology of Human Misjudgment. Psychology of human. Anyone who's here, if you happen to be a ClickFunnels user and you're, as Josh self-mentioned, drinking the Kool-Aid, you're in the
drinking that Kool-Aid, boy.
You're in it. You love it. It tastes great.
Psychology of what?
The Psychology of Human Misjudgment.
All right, writing it down.
And Charlie Munger is explaining this concept of the biggest errors that people face and why they follow specific charismatic characters and that type of thing as well. It's really going to help to define it. So what your question predicates is that in order to build a successful company, you must have those elements.
That's essentially what I'm asking. Yeah.
When you break out of that, you realize Nike is just selling shoes. There's no massive belief in there. Amazon is selling e-commerce products. Dodge and Ford or whatever and all that. There's no movement. There's no character. They're selling. While that's a method to use, what I am saying is that your question is predicated on the belief that's already been built in you that you must have those elements to grow a large business. Whereas once you escape the internet marketing space, which I feel like I've done, and I'm not
right. Really you're not an internet marketer, right?
You're fighting hard to get out of it, dude. Your refund rates, your chargeback rates drop, your revenue increases, your profit increases, the networks that you have available to you, the market you have available to you is so much bigger outside of the internet marketing, digital marketing space, where that's just, as you mentioned, it's just this weird cult of just selling to each other, and we're all just transferring money from one person to another. I get hit up by some ClickFunnels coaches who don't know who I am, and they're like, and I'm like, I'm not your customer, dude, right? And so, but when we break out, we see so much more opportunity, so much more potential, so much more growth, real money. There's a reason why everyone keeps saying like ClickFunnels is going to sell. They're never going to sell because I don't think there's a buyer, because they can't disassociate that belief aspect of Russell. Russell can never leave ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels would crush, right? Because Russell's the product. So
well, I do think there's an element to that. Yeah. If Russell sells ClickFunnels and then dips. Yeah.
So the question
right?
Is that enough reason? Is that enough rationale in your mind to say, if it's an if-then statement, if Russell leaves, I leave ClickFunnels, what am I really buying?
Russell, 100%. And I know that. Well, okay. But so I would counter what you said there. I think that in some of the companies you mentioned, Ford, Chevy, things like that, they're not so much creating a movement. Yes, they are though. Like here's the thing, dude. Where I would disagree with you, Nike for sure has the elements of identity and movement and brand and everything that we're talking about, and Russell talks about in Expert Secrets. All of their attractive characters, there's not one person. It's LeBron James and Tom Brady's Under Armour. LeBron James and every other Nike person, sports person that is for Nike are the attractive characters. And the identity, I mean, dude, I grew up a country boy, okay? Like big farm, like farming, big lifted truck, camouflage interior, guns in the background. It is are you a Chevy, Ford, or Dodge person? Because if you're a Ford and I'm a Dodge, screw you, get out of my hayfield, right? Like, get out of here, right? So I'm like, there is that sense of identity in there. There is that sense of it all in there. And it's not just, we have a better vehicle, right? It's not. Right? And anybody that would come in and try to challenge any of those by saying we have a better vehicle would lose. It's why Elon Musk did not come in and build a better vehicle. He literally built a fundamentally different vehicle, right? There's a whole different movement behind it. And there's nobody that can look at Elon Musk and Tesla and say, there's no aspect of brand there or loyalty or a movement or a belief. It's all there. Everything that Russell talks about, and I'm just going to use Russell because he's the educator that we're talking about here. Everything that he says in Expert Secrets, I see in Nike and in Tesla, and to a certain extent, probably less now. It's why they're failing. Dodge and Ford and GM. And so to me, I just look at it and I go, don't get me wrong, I'm fascinated to watch the next several years of Dropfunnels and see what it comes out to. I mean, I'm a lifelong learner, man. I don't hope you get me over there because I'm a lifelong Russell fan, but like, hey, if you get me over to you, by all means, dude, like props, right? I love the market. I love competition, but I just, where I think I disagree is I don't think people buy on data alone. I think there's a percentage of them. And I feel like it's those people that are like, typically like me, but not in this case because, I'm delusional, that are like, I'm over the drama. I just got to look at the numbers. Like, what's actually going to make me money? And those are the type of people you're going to attract initially. But at some point, you got to expand the market beyond that, because those same people, and I'm the perfect example of this, in some other aspect of their life are being delusional fanboys. Because when it comes to politics and when it comes to like logic, and I'm the most logical, data, facts-driven person when it comes to politics. But then when it comes to funnels and phones, I'm like delusional fanboy. Elon Musk is my hero and Russell's my, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's not, and again, I think it's one of the in the psychology of human misjudgment, which you'll love. Which
I can't watch it. Or is it
but it's one of the
book?
So there's a video. There's several, but there's like an animation that's like 14 minutes long. Just look it up, and it's like the shortened.
14. Okay.
And it's fantastic. But it's one of the human misjudgments. This is like black and white type thing that we absolutely have to have some level of belief building where, in our case, I'm not the hero. I'm not the teacher. I'm not the educator. I'm not the brand. I'm building the tool where the customer is the winner. And it's their story that we see people like, one guy came in, he's like, I just threw up a random page and I got a client within 2 days from organic traffic on Google somehow, launching right away. One guy, almost every customer that we've seen that's actually done like split tests are like, it's the most profitable month. It's our lowest traffic cost month. Our CPA is cut in half. It's like all these stories of like where they really are the hero. But yeah, I mean, we have some of that built in. I'm just saying that I'm not the hero, and I'm not the Jesus Christ figure, right? That's not my goal. I'm ushering in to expose people to, hey, if you look at your data and make a logical based decision based on what you believe, you don't have a choice. I think if you listen to Mike Dillard's, I was on his podcast and he mentioned that in the very beginning. He's like, if you care about revenue in your business, you're going to end up on Dropfunnels sooner or later, because for one reason only, you don't have a choice. And that's why I'm not rushing it. I'm not being impatient, and why I'm not like, everyone you need to move in. Everyone's going to be here no matter what.
Well, and you don't need to be needy if you believe in your product.
I mean, I have no rush. It's like so many like Clickfunnels or Kartra users are like, there's so many issues. I can't get support. Whereas our support will respond in minutes instead of hours or days.
That's a big one.
Or like if the software goes down, which happens, by the way, to all software, Facebook goes down, instead of days of it being dead, we're on it in a minute. We have some of the best hosting on the planet. Where people have issues, we're there to help them. We'll jump on calls with people. We're half the price. We're twice the value. We're unlimited everything. And so if for any person who can make that mental separation, that human misjudgment about, I have to equate my emotive decision and I can move anywhere towards the logic and database side, there's no choice and it's going to happen inevitably. So Josh, you will eventually be on Dropfunnels.
All right. Well, you call your shot. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like right now is the time where I get my first brand deal and I go, hey, Clickfunnels, we've got this ad. I mean, we got this podcast coming up where it's literally your competitor just destroying you. You want to run an ad right now, and here's where we cut to it. Click, and it's like a Clickfunnels ad right now. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. But I feel like that would be so funny. Have you seen that with what's his face?
Between Two Ferns.
Yes,
with
Zach
Galifianakis.
Yeah, Galifianakis. Yeah, with Hillary, and then he goes, wait, Mrs. Clinton, wait, Miss Clinton, hold on, we have to play a message from our sponsor. Click. Yeah. Donald Trump pops up on there, dude. Just destroys her.
It just kills me. It's so funny.
She's like, why would you do that?
Yeah, you know? Yeah, I know.
I feel like that's
how
right
straight face she is. Yeah.
Right.
No, but I want to make it so exceptionally clear before the Clickfunnels lawyers sick themselves on me, right?
I know.
Like we're talking about Clickfunnels specifically because you are the interviewer and you are on Clickfunnels, and that's where your belief lies, right? I would have the exact same conversation with Mike Vilsame over at Groove, or with whoever's behind Kartra, or whoever's behind Kajabi, and all these people whose users were siphoning over to getting them better results. I would just say, I have nothing against these people personally or anything against, I'm just saying the data shows here's the proof between A and B. And then when you run A versus B, you cannot deny it. If it was a blind split test between Pepsi and Coke and you went and you picked the best one or whatever, right? That's the difference. So again,
Clickfunnels.
We're talking about Clickfunnels, but there's a lot of other competitors. We're competing against WordPress. Literally,
Clickfunnels. Don't sue him. Don't sue him. Come out. It was my fault. Blame me.
Let's not go that. They've got lots of money.
All right. Dude, I really appreciate you coming on here. This is a great conversation. To kind of wrap it up, I want to do a little bit of rapid fire. Get to know you a little bit. Typically do like 3 or 4, but I feel like we could do like maybe a little bit more than that here as we kind of wrap it up. Where are you from? Like where are you living now?
Osceola, Wisconsin.
Oh, so you're still up in Wisconsin then?
Still here. Yep.
Still here. You been there your whole life?
Nope. Graduated from here, but we moved around. My dad was a church planter. He was kind of an entrepreneur in the spiritual sense, I guess. So he'd plant churches, pass them off to someone, and then go and do that again. So
that's interesting.
I was born in Colorado Springs, or I was raised in Colorado Springs.
No way. That's crazy. My brother, before he passed away, lived in Colorado Springs. I'm an hour and a half away from there. I have my sister-in-law and nephew and niece are still there, and so that's crazy.
I'd live there again in a heartbeat,
dude.
Awesome town.
It's just the whole Denver, Colorado area out here is just nothing like it. It's
exploding. It's huge.
Well, I was in the Uber the other day coming back from dropping off the U-Haul because we just moved up here. And the guy that was driving for U-Haul the guy that was driving for Uber was also a real estate agent. And I asked him, I was like, what's the housing market like right now? He goes, they're estimating that there's roughly 750 people a day moving to Denver and the surrounding areas. The average home value in Denver, inside of Denver right now, just surpassed $600,000. That's the average home price. It's insane right now.
Crazy.
Okay, what's a lifelong bucket list goal, like something that you absolutely want to achieve in your life that's going to take you your whole life to do?
Dude, my whole life. Jeez.
But a big, I want to sell a company for $1 billion. I want to, maybe that won't take your whole life. I want to, I don't know, speak in front of 100 or 1 million people audience. I don't know, something crazy big.
Yeah. I've always wanted to sell a company for 50 million was
50
one
million.
aspect. It's kind of short-term goal. This is probably super nerdy. I've always wanted to go paragliding, and I can't find anywhere where I can go paragliding, but like I've always had this desire to fly, like just my own, but like unencumbered by like technology and all that kind of stuff. Really. So paragliding is one of the most realistic ways that you can fly. So that's kind of a short-term goal I want to do. My kind of middle range goal is I want to snowbird because I hate the winters here. And so actually in 2 weeks, I'll be going down to Florida. If there's any Orlando people and they want to hang out, I don't know when this will air or whatever, but we'll have a get together. But I want to snowbird and just do, Florida in the winters and up here in the summers.
I'm sorry, snowboard in Florida?
Snowbird.
Oh.
So It's a
What's
phrase
that?
for people who leave in the winter and they go south. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Usually
okay.
old people do it, but I feel like I'm 33 going on 60, so I feel like I'm an old spirit.
Man, I feel like I'm
Trying to
26
escape.
going on 18 though. So I'm going the other direction. I feel young all the time. Everyone's like freaking out. You're going to be 30 coming up. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm still 18. So I feel like I'm going to be 18 until I'm like 80. And then I'll be
30
like,
is good, bro. 30 is the new 20.
Yeah, I've heard that. Gary Vee says 40 is the new 20. So
Yikes.
I don't
Probably because
know.
he's 40.
Probably because he's 40 and he wants to feel like he's 20 again. He tries to be cool so hard.
He's on TikTok so hard right now.
TikTok, dude. All right, we got to talk about that in the last couple of minutes.
Dude, they're shutting it down, right? I just saw that this morning.
November 11th, I think, or 13th. It's supposed to be banned. Like, you're not allowed to do any business transactions, not running any ads on their WeChat as well. That's insane.
Yeah, well, and I think they're only stopping downloads, but I'm guessing what's going to happen is after the election, Oracle won the bid to take it over for the U.S. Oracle's going to lobby the government.
But did they though? I heard that it didn't go through.
Oh,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. It was like they won the bid, but then the White House didn't approve of it or something like that.
Yeah.
Oracle bid TikTok.
Well, dude, the reason you and I got on this conversation in the first place was because of the whole like the cuties thing and the whole TikTok thing and all that stuff kind of. So we didn't actually dive into that. Maybe another conversation, but
maybe another one.
But I'm perfectly fine with TikTok going away. I'm 100% okay with it. I have no issues with it. I'm not on it. I think it's kind of a gross breeding ground and marketplace of over sexualization of pretty much all human beings that are on there doing that kind of stuff. And I see no benefit to it at all. So
I think, I don't think it's inherently, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I don't think it's inherently TikTok's. Like, I don't think TikTok is necessarily encouraging that, but I think that that's the result of the platform that they've built. Right.
That's how they grew, man.
Right.
That's how
which
they
is
made it so big.
It's crazy because, so I remember TikTok when it was called Musically. And we got on there and I remember this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. The biggest star on Musically in the world was, I think she was 13 and she had 18 million followers at 13 years old. I was like, there's no world where this is a good idea.
Nope.
Right.
And still the top TikTok people are still
underage, like actual,
underage.
and the challenges and the things that make it go viral, like that it feeds into like there's like practically soft porn on Instagram. TikTok just took it to the next level. Like, you know what I mean?
There's
and
like straight up porn everywhere. Yeah, it really is.
But it's not
nasty. Just TikTok. It's Reddit, dude. It's on IG.
It's Twitter. It's everywhere. It's just disgusting.
It's a cultural issue, not just a platform issue.
Okay. Do you have a hard cutoff in 5 minutes?
I do, but man, we could have a whole other conversation.
Okay. All right. I just want to say this. We'll end with this then. I want to say I appreciate the perspective that you brought in that post about cuties. For those of you that don't know, you can give a 30-second synopsis of your post.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's that people are all canceling Netflix as like this is some response to like over sexualization of like young girls and whatnot. And yes, cuties is gross, and yes, that wasn't the filmmaker's intent, and all these like subcategories of conversation. But all I'm saying is like the over sexualization of girls is not a new thing. It's hyper prevalent in our culture. Kids disappear every day and are literally kidnapped and put into sex trafficking every day. It's happening worldwide. And cuties is just a slightly over the line acceptance of like what our culture is asking for.
Right.
I mean, that's
and the point you made in the post, which I appreciate, is you're like, hey, listen, like it starts with your daughter's phone, right? It starts with
or your son's phone,
or your son, right? It starts with the phone. It starts with the household. It starts with the parents and their children, and I appreciate that. Where I was very quick to comment on was, please, I just wanted clarification that you were in no way supporting the film, which you weren't, and I appreciate that. I think it's one of those things where if you're canceling Netflix because you're trying to virtue signal to somebody else that you are taking this very seriously, guess what? You have a problem, right? That's not going to do anything.
Cancel your IG, cancel your Facebook, cancel Reddit, because it's all over.
And even further than that, though, I didn't cancel. I mean, and I did cancel Netflix. I don't have it anymore, but I didn't cancel that because somebody else told me to, or because it was a trend. I did it because it was in alignment with what I actually believed. And I don't care if I was the only one I don't care if everybody goes and resubscribes and is like, oh, that's all dumb. I canceled it because it's what I stand for. And I think that the problem with society today on both the left and the right, especially with things like this, is that we do it because everybody else is doing it or because some virtual signal, when in reality,
popular.
Right, we have to take responsibility in our own life. And I think that's what you were trying to say as well. And I appreciate that perspective. We'll have to have another conversation because I really did enjoy this interview, dude. It was really fun.
Dude, you're a killer interviewer. And
I appreciate it.
I haven't had a 2-hour-long conversation with an intelligent person through Zoom like this ever. I think this is the longest, most fun I've had on a conversation in forever. So this was great.
I love it. Guys, we're going to wrap it up with that. Jordan, where can people find more about you if they want to go check you out and your...
my devil of a competitor.
You're just organization that you're building. No, I'm just kidding. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so would love to friend people on Facebook if you want. Also, if people want to make data-driven and non-emotive based decisions, you can always go to Dropfunnels.com.
Dropfunnels.com, everybody. And if you want to become a delusional, diehard Clickfunnels fan, you know where to go for that. Jordan, thank you so much, man. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for coming on. Guys, as
Josh,
always, hustle, hustle, God bless. Don't be afraid to think different, because those of us that think different are going to be the ones that change the world. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take it easy, fam. Peace.